Everyone has been waiting for this for so long, and it is finally going to be unveiled. Not only are we going to be having games here on the stage, they're going to be played by Renegades. We're also going to have Rox Armada stepping into the fray. Southeast Asia versus the Korean All-Stars. And then the winner of that, they're going to be going up against Team Solo Mid. There is so much to watch tomorrow. Make sure that you are tuning in for when Vainglory 5v5 is finally unveiled. Boys, that is going to be a monumental moment in Vainglory history.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely massive. There has never been anything like this in Vainglory's history, and I cannot wait. The increased depth of strategy and just the amount of different plays that we're going to start to see. All new highlight reels are going to be made, and it all starts here in Singapore.
It certainly will. I cannot wait. I'm already getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But it's about time that we head back into 3v3. It's about time that we continue the Razer 2017 Vainglory World Championship. And for that, it means it's time to jump into semi-final number 2. It's Ace Gaming going up against Impunity. This is going to be an absolute barn burner. This is going to be an unbelievable matchup. Both of these teams, they had incredibly tough quarterfinals to make it on in here, and they're both going to be battling it out to try and put their name on the trophy.
Yeah, I'm so excited about how the metas are going to clash here, like Iraqi was saying earlier. But Impunity was the only team yesterday that just switched up their drafts left and right. Every single time, their drafts were different. It wasn't always like a Lyra or Churnwalker ban. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to pull up, because they did upset the meta. So it's going to be very fun to watch.
This was a team that was absolutely. It is going to be incredibly exciting to watch. Honestly, so much on the line for these teams as well. But when we talk about Ace, this was a team that was coming into the tournament as a heavy favorite, coming out from East Asia, the region that won the last World Championship. But they had a bit of a rocky start to the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they did really have a rocky start. First, they barely made it out of groups. They did come out as the first seed, but I mean, they had really tough matchups, both against Hunters, against DSM, they won 2-0. Going into the quarterfinals, though, against Spain Gaming, the team coming out of South America, they went all the way to Game 5, and they barely lost it. So Ace Gaming, I'm very not convinced in how they have been playing. Hopefully, they would have reset completely after that quarterfinals, and now coming into this one, they're going to play like how we usually know them.
Yeah, I mean, Ace Gaming, these players are still some of the top players in the world. There is an immense amount of skill from them. Everyone coming into this event was expecting them to be the Armada of 2017, and they can still run that story. They can still make their way into the finals and take the championship. So this is not a team you can overlook just because of that quarterfinal matchup. They're going to be coming in here renewed and reinvigorated after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case there wasn't enough on the line in this semi-final, I just want to remind everyone at home, in case anyone missed out on this one, Playoff Beard has placed a bet on not only this series, but on the entire tournament. If Impunity can make it to the finals, if they can win the World Championship, he has agreed that Cordovar can shave his beard live on stage for everyone to see. So I think that if there weren't already enough Impunity fans here in the building, that might just be a little cherry to put on top of the cake as well. So much on the line, not just in terms of the players' pride, but some of the SEMC staff as well. But it's time to start to break down this game in a little bit more detail, boys and girls. How are we feeling about this one, play style-wise? Obviously, we've got Korea versus Southeast Asia here. Typically, what we've seen out of Ace is a very reserved play style, very kind of calculated. But what we've seen here at the World Championship is aggression wins all. Is that going to be the story of the series?
It very likely will be. We've seen both Impunity and Ace, when they've been winning and winning convincingly, they've been going to this heavy aggression. The Kestrels have been coming out and making appearances in terms of that turret siege and the objective focus. Not so much the all-out aggression, but the objective focus and aggressing onto the turrets is what I think is going to be key to victory here.
All right, we'll see if they can focus on those objectives, if their minds will be in the right places. And I want to talk a little bit as well about the fact that we have this incredible crowd here today, because they are undoubtedly going to be supporting Impunity coming on into this one. It's fair to say they're here in Singapore, in their hometown. If you're Ace stepping onto the stage, that's got to be kind of terrifying. Stepping into a room of people that all want you to lose, that's got to be some pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah, it is. Pressure to perform and the energy that MP is going to get. But for specifically the jungle, like the aggression, DefQ is a player to watch for sure. He can play the Weapon Baptiste, his Black Feather, his Koshka. This guy can rotate and play almost as aggressive, I would say, as even T-Tiger. So he's definitely a player to watch, and I'm going to stay tuned. If he does well, Impunity will do well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Impunity will do well if they play really aggressive. We saw yesterday they're able to siege a turret after another, closeout games very early on. If they manage to get a draft where they can prioritize on that sieging potential or even rotating down to play the jungle game, take some Crystal Sentries out, as long as they try to snowball the game and close it out early on, I feel like they have an incredible advantage against Ace Gaming, especially if they have something like the Kestrel, as I mentioned.
Well, our first semi-final of today was absolutely exceptional. But we're about to see if we can outdo it. And before we can do that, we need to introduce our teams. We'll start off with the Korean powerhouse coming out from East Asia. It's Ace Gaming.
Ace Gaming from Korea, the East Asian region, the winners of both the summer and autumn seasons over in East Asia, riding that wave of momentum all the way down here to Singapore and looking to continue to ride that wave of momentum into the finals. A best of 5, it is such a big boost to your confidence when you do finally win that.
You can see the big smiles on this team's faces walking onto the stage. You mentioned walking into the room where everyone wants you to lose. This team is so positive and is so confident in themselves that they're actually not phased. They're coming in with big smiles. They're saying that we're going to come out here and crash it.
Also, a good amount of cheers coming out for them as they step on the stage as well. So maybe we do have a split crowd after all.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if they're going to take the Vox or hand over the Vox, because that's been a huge weakness for Ace Gaming, and that's a hero that Impunity plays exceptionally well, especially with like a CP Black Feather, for example.
Absolutely. We'll see if they are going to be able to take those picks, and that's something that we saw in our first semi-final as well, was kind of just this battle for the power picks, and when we swap from A side to B side, how that changes the draft. I'm curious to see how that is going to continue to evolve over the course of this tournament. But we have one team on the stage. We can't do it without two. It's time to introduce to the stage the home crowd favorite, Singapore's own Team Impunity.
And Impunity, this is the team coming out of Singapore, the home favorite team. I mean, it's just, they play so incredibly well, especially such an innovative team. Quarterback is a player that we call him the mad scientist usually because of his unique icon builds, his unique drafts, and his unique rotations and strategies. This team is so confident on the stage because you can hear the crowd cheering them on, and when you see a crowd cheering you on this hard, your morale is upped by so much.
Now, not only is this a team that is the home crowd favorite, we also have a birthday boy on the stage.
Wow.
So we have our very own Vainglory World Championship birthday right here on the main stage. It's beautiful to see. We'll see whether he can blow out all the candles in one, whether he gets his wish.
I wonder what his wish is.
I reckon I can guess what his wish is. I think his wish is shaving
Happy
off playoff beards.
birthday to you.
Singing happy birthday along with their team. This is you hear the crowd singing happy birthday along with their team. This is a great moment here on the world stage. And it's got to be such a great boost of confidence for them to just see the amount of love that they are getting from this crowd.
That's what we love about the Vainglory community. You can hear how riled up the crowd is in here, how ready for this Impunity semi-final they are. But let's not forget, they do have an opponent as well. Ace are also on the stage. I feel like they've been blown out of the water there with the reaction. But let's start to talk about this matchup. Let's start to break this one down as we head on in, because these two teams are absolute powerhouses. Both of them different styles of play, but both of them can take commanding victories when it comes down to it.
Yeah, they have really similar hero pools as well. Sui Generis touched on the Vox. Kestrel is another very highly contested pick. Impunity can play it incredibly well. So does Ace Gaming. They're very well known for it. They can play it on lane and the jungle. So these two heroes for the carry roles, the Vox and the Kestrel, and then regularly the 2.10 meta forces you to focus on the Churn Walkers and the Lyras.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is QC plays a phenomenal Celeste, right? And if you play Kestrel weapon into a Celeste, you're going to switch out to CP, and we saw Tasa played CP Kestrel so well. And Rona too doesn't really work against Impunity because they countered it with the weapon Batiste and Celeste combination. So these drafts are going to be crazy interesting, and my favorite, definitely a series to watch.
All right, well, we've been comparing these two teams in terms of the play style, in terms of picks. I want to compare them in terms of their statistics across the course of this tournament as well. We can bring up the two teams' stats to see what the KDAs are coming on through, what the win rates are as well. It's just about even when it comes to the win rate, but Ace Gaming, they've been playing a little bit cleaner. They've been able to die less and kill more.
Yeah, but the game time to victory is almost identical between the two, and we always talk about the fact that kills don't matter unless you're getting objectives, and that's one of the keys to both of these teams, is their ability to go after the objectives instead of focusing on the kills.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see how this one's going to pan out. Obviously, both of those teams' average game time is around 19 minutes, 18.5 to 19. But what we saw out of that series between Cloud9 and Tribe was longer games than expected because the teams were so evenly matched. And I figure that that might be a similar situation that we see coming out here. These teams aren't going to be able to just take what they want. They're not going to be able to necessarily push that early game as hard as maybe they could against the weaker teams in the tournament. We're in top 4, gentlemen. Nobody here is a weak team anymore.
Yeah, especially Impunity. They actually beat Tribe when Tigers was on Koshka because they counter-picked a Rona into it and took the game off Tribe, and that's just phenomenal. So you got to watch how this team drafts. They pick some hard counter picks and have such a deep hero pool that they can play almost anything and switch it up as needed.
Yeah, this is one of the most flexible and adaptive team that we have here in the World Championship, just because of they're very confident they can play no matter what they are required to. On the other side, Ace Gaming, if they want to have a chance at winning the series, I feel like they need to go back to their old play style. Get a creation on something like the Baron that they won with yesterday, play for the late game, stick around him and just protect him on lane. That's the type of style that worked for them for a long time. Don't try to deviate away from it.
All right, we'll see if they can stick to their style, and we'll see if that style is going to net them a series. Now, we've had a little discussion about who we think is going to win, but once again, I want to discover who the audience is wanting to take this one. It's time to pass it over to Dan Gaskin for our Coca-Cola predictions.
Hey guys, this is Riku, not Dan Gaskin. Thank you very much, Munchables. We're at it again with another Coca-Cola prediction. Joining me here are two awesome people from the crowd. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Hello, everybody.
Hi, my name is
I'm gonna say hi too. So anyway, I assume you guys are Impunity. How about you?
My name is Aline,
You
and
guys are
hi.
Impunity fans. Hello, everybody saying hi. I'm gonna say hi too. So anyway, I assume you guys are Impunity fans, correct? Okay, both of you guys are Impunity fans. What made you become an Impunity fan? If you could give a message
the way
to any
they
member
play
from Impunity
and
right now,
Kotova's amazing support skills. Stay strong and beat Ace Gaming.
if you could give a message to any member from Impunity right now, what would it be?
Stay strong and beat Ace Gaming.
Wow. How about you, my friend? What message could you say to a particular player?
Good luck and take the win for Singapore.
Who do you think is going to win this series? And there you have it. Here you go. Prediction time. We all know what you're going to say, but still, I want to hear it from you guys. Who do you think is going to win this series? And you get a Coca-Cola bottle. And there you have it, guys. How about you?
Impunity also.
Impunity it is. You get a Coca-Cola bottle, and you get a Coca-Cola bottle. And there we have it, guys. The crowd is super crazy about the next matchup, so I'm going to send it back to the desk. Take it away, Munchables.
Thank you very much, Riku. It's not Dan Gaskin after all, but we have plenty of Impunity fans in the room who's surprised about that one. It's time to start to get towards this series. We are rolling towards the games now faster than a speeding bullet. I'm excited to kick this one off. I'm excited to hear the noise that this crowd is going to make once we hit the map. But I'm also excited to see how this first game is going to go, because the first game of this series is going to be very telling for how the entire series is going to be panning out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is going to fall down to the draft. If you let this Kestrel go through to Ace, you are asking for trouble. We saw in the series yesterday when Pain Gaming was banning away this Kestrel, that was where they had their opportunities. So I want to see the adaptation made early for Impunity.
Absolutely. Well, I want to quickly shout out our Mogul Arena player to watch. Coming on into this one, it's going to be Coeur d'Ivoire. Obviously, this man stepping on in, he's been kind of a spokesperson for his team. He's been the leader, he's been the captain. And now stepping onto the stage in the semi-finals, there is so much weight on his shoulders. And also, he's the one that gets to shave off the beard if they do manage to make it all the way.
So many incentives for this player to win this series and go on to win the entire competition. Coeur d'Ivoire is such an incredibly innovative player. Like I was mentioning earlier, his builds, his strategies and his drafts are so strong. The reason why I'm watching out for him is because he can enable his team. When you have a player on your team who can tell you, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to build this not so much standard item, you know that no matter what situation you end up at, you have and you're ready to counter that situation. So Coeur d'Ivoire is definitely the player to watch because he can enable his team.
Absolutely. It is time to kick this one off, ladies and gentlemen. It's Impunity versus Ace Gaming. Impunity on our A side, Ace on the B side, and Vox and Lyra will be the first bats.
Vox, Lyra taken off the board. Churnwalker is available, but so is that Kestrel that we know is going to be so crucial in this matchup. So got to see where Impunity are going to go with this first pick.
I'm hoping that they either pick the Kestrel or the Blackfeather. Instead, they're going to go with the Churnwalker. I mean, it's been really dominant. The trespasses are so significant, especially against Lyra. If you're able to lock her down, then you're able to burst her down before she sustains back up.
And Churnwalker was a hero that we've seen them do tremendous things on. We saw them pull out a 2 versus 3 with a
play
trespass.
of Worlds thus far.
Absolutely.
Was that Churnwalker play.
Yeah, just devastating for any team to get Churnwalker. And it's interesting that Ace prioritized the ban on Lyra instead of Churnwalker. Maybe they have a strategy up their sleeve here. Rona being a first pick is good because Vox is banned, but we know that Weapon Sky works well into Rona, and even Impunity can play a pretty good Celeste to beat that Rona. So let's see what they're going to do. They're going to go ahead and tick with the Baptiste and target ban Defq.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like they're trying to go for a dive-heavy composition. It seems like the strategy for Ace Gaming is trying to bait Impunity to pick the Churnwalker, then play a very aggressive composition. Rona with an Arden perhaps if he's still going to be open, and then something like the Razer or the Koshka later on. Just go all in on the Churnwalker and his teammates.
Samuel taken off the board. Another one of the picks that Ace Gaming kind of exclusive to Ace Gaming. They're one of the only teams that we've seen run this pick here at Worlds and find success with it. And so they immediately grab themselves an Arden. And again, we've got to talk about how quickly Ace Gaming goes through their drafts. They are so decisive even before they get onto the fold.
Incredibly well prepared as a team, and that's what you expect out of the teams coming here onto the world stage. But what we saw out of Ace in terms of speed of draft against Pain was that as the games went on, as the series got closer, they really slowed things down. So maybe this is just game one confidence once again. Blackfeather locked in for Impunity.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a CP jungle Blackfeather because a weapon Blackfeather won't be as effective into a Rona and an Arden. You want to poke that down. And then finally, you want a strong weapon lane. We saw Weapon Sky work really well into Rona. I'm wondering if Impunity does play the Weapon Sky because we haven't seen it from them.
Yeah, the Weapon Sky I think would be an incredibly strong pick here to round out this composition. Going with that Churnwalker, you have so much lockdown from Churnwalker, and Sky can just continuously dance around those fights. We saw it work in our first semifinal. It could very much come and work here again.
And now for Ace Gaming, as I mentioned earlier, it's either going to be the Koshka if they want something something a little bit later on in the game that Taka and the Razer are also available, but something that is CP in the jungle and can dive very well. Their idea behind playing against this Churnwalker is to have a very aggressive composition that can dive very, very well. So Rona with Arden, perfect. Koshka or Reza or Taka is the last pick is what I'm expecting.
I think they're probably going to go with CP Kestrel. Oh, Reza instead. Wow. So they want to dive and fight with the Rona here and try to get onto the Sky. So this will be a very interesting matchup in terms of who's going to be able to lock down the Sky and win this fight here.
And we talk about how to beat a Churnwalker. We always say it's with the all-in heavy dive comps. That's what Ace Gaming has put together.
Honestly, this looks to me like a game of cat and mouse right here. Ace are going to be trying to chase on down, and Impunity going to be running to the hills and trying to dish out the damage while they do so. Predictions, boys, as we head on into this game. Suijay, we'll start with you.
I really like
favorite?
Churnwalker and Quarterbar and Churnwalker, so I'm going to go with Impunity.
One for Impunity.
Coming into this event, I never would have predicted Impunity over Ace, and I am not one to be swayed very easily by the thoughts of others. But this crowd has done the unthinkable. I am all in on Impunity.
All right. Bacon making a statement there.
Nice.
Final prediction coming in.
Why would we go with anything else but Impunity with this crowd standing in front of us? And after that draft especially, I think the Sky and the Churnwalker are going to apply so much pressure, allowing the Black to get into the mid game. Impunity all in.
All right, we have a full Impunity desk. We have a full Impunity arena right here. It's time to get this one underway. It is time to jump into semi-final number 2. It's Ace Gaming against Impunity. Take it away, casters.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Humanist here with Dowsey, and we have an incredible matchup for you. Our analysts have broken it down. You see the draft. Dowsey, what are you thinking about what we're going to see here?
I mean, we're going to see the home crowd get behind Impunity to try and conquer what has been East Asian overlords in Vainglory. Ace Gaming, the only representation left from Korea, looking to make their way to the finals, but they have to go through the juggernaut that is the Singaporean Impunity.
Impunity. I mean, this team, they play lights out. Not only that, they're incredibly fun to watch. I think they play aggressively, almost it feels like to a fault at sometimes, but it's been working for them. Ladies and gentlemen, the battle has begun. So without further ado, let's get this underway. Players are making their way out onto their positions. Now, early on here, would you expect some early skirmishes? Are these guys going to just try to get some farm, get some levels, and then play it out? What's going to happen here, Dowsey?
I mean, we're looking at a very strong level 2 fighting composition from Impunity. The Churnwalker able to dish out so much damage across the Ace Gaming lineup. Black Feather, with his Fate of Heart, does so much if he can just single in on a single target. With this guy able to just consistently move through the team fight. It's all slow at the early game. You know, it's a weapon power Sky. You don't really think the forward barrage plays too much into that aspect, but especially in this early level, it can really hurt Ace Gaming's chances of escaping. So Impunity should not feel scared to fight. In fact, Ace Gaming, you can see, are backporting, not ready to face up against Imp.
Really interesting. And of course, Impunity don't know exactly what's happening, so they're going to go ahead and leave the Elder Treants up there. There's just a little bit of mind games happening early on here.
Yeah, and you have to imagine what it feels like to be Impunity here, representing Southeast Asia, one of the only teams to have succeeded so far against Rox Armada. In their group, they were able to topple them. They had such a hard group, Tribe Gaming, in that group as well. Right now we've seen them qualify into that finals. You have to think that Impunity are looking forward to that, knowing that they will have to go up against someone they've already played. But if Imp can take down Ace here, would have a rematch of that group stage, and so you can imagine they're going to be feeling good about that.
Feeling really good about that. I mean, Impunity was one of the teams that did pull out the Rona and beat Tribe with it. Suddenly we see Rona everywhere.
Right.
This team definitely very innovative. You like that pronunciation?
I do.
Yeah, definitely. But as well, we see very fun builds as well as drafting down here. It looks like Elder Treant probably does, of course, get secured by Impunity. A little crowd cheering just for the Elder Treant there.
I mean, this Singaporean crowd is ready to get behind their boys in blue and white and cheer them all the way to Game 3, where Impunity will be looking to just really tear across. Now, I'm being maybe a little bit biased here. Let's tear it back.
Because pretty biased.
Ace Gaming is a formidable roster. Creation, Tassa, and Youngju coming in very late into the year here to replace Gosa, Scarshield. So it's really tough for East Asian fans. They witnessed one of the greatest captains step down from their roster, and that's always going to be a scary thing. But Youngju coming in has really just solidified the chances of Ace Gaming, and they've shown that, yes, he is ready to go. Bit of Death Bush. Will Deathq step in?
Thinking about, oh, he's going to walk in. Starts to get lit up. The foe splitter's there. Healing flask popped off. This looks like it potentially is going to be on the first blood. Deathq, Faint of Heart, he's going to be able to have that move speed moving down Youngju. The self Vanguard, they're on Deathq. He's down. First blood. Ace Gaming.
Really nice rotational play here from Ace Gaming, knowing full well that this Razer into Black Feather matchup is very difficult for Tassa, and Impunity have been rotating as 3 to secure these Elder Triads, get that experience lead in the jungle. Creation going to solidify his team by setting up a Death Bush, and now Tassa has that first blood. He's going to be very close to finishing off an Aftershock very quickly in this game, and Razer, once he gets that Aftershock, can do a really surprising amount of damage. Ace Gaming have a very strong moment coming up. Just 100 gold for Tassa. The next little skirmish you see from them, they can really solidify an early lead.
All right, so we're talking about the power spikes of this Reza. He's going to have it coming up here very shortly, as you did mention. They're going to be able to actually take some fights. What's their key target? What is the focus and objective in these fights?
Going to see Quisi build into a poison shift to try and sustain through the fights. You need to try and cut down that healing coming out of Creation, but if Quisi can be dived upon by Tassa and Creation as one, Youngju can kind of allow them to continue chasing up with a Vanguard, and of course, when Echo gets built later on into this game, it's going to make it very difficult for Quisi to auto-attack it and kind of stutter around the team fight.
Right.
So Tassa Creation, really clear focus. Take down the sky, deal with Deathq, CP, Black Feather, try and burst, and then sustain the jungler after you've taken down the carry.
We've seen actually the Shiver Steel come out as a very big pickup for the Ronas, and it feels like in this game it could play a pretty large role. Now actually, Quisi's taking a bit of damage there. A little out of the fray, not ready to just fully commit into that. Quaterbot, definitely one of the best turn walkers we've seen in this entire championship. Now Tassa, they making that Aftershock go to work here. To the lane. Oh, the jump forward. You have gone too far. Quisi punished for not respecting, and that's going to be the Netherform detonator. They're going to dive on Quaterbot. Most likely he goes down, but no! Deathq there trying to make the big plays. Almost pulling them far enough back to find a kill of their own. But Ace Gaming up 2-0, 5.5 minutes in.
And we don't even have Fountain complete for Cote d'Ivoire. Their amazing play coming through from Impunity to keep that turret alive and not fall under it after Quisi did go down. Ace Gaming looking to snowball this game out of control. Deathq's gone a little bit of a delayed build here with that Aftershock you usually see coming through from this Crystal Power Black Feather, prioritizing a heavy Prism for himself just so he has a little bit more burst damage on his on point. He needs to get that Aftershock completed. It's 6 minutes in and you really should have a tier 3 item under your belt as a jungler at this point. Has so much gold, so it's just a trip to the shop at this point. He's going to backport, try and pick up that Aftershock, and now he can look to try and turn the tides for Impunity. It's a really big moment of power with that heavy Prism and the Aftershock, so we'll have to see if Ace Gaming respect it.
You hear the crowd getting hyped up behind us right now. 6.5 minutes in. Ace building a pretty solid little advantage for themselves now. The dance back with the Surrey into the forward barrage. They're going to pull him back with the Torment. They want Creation, but he's so incredibly tanky. Red Mist spinning all over Impunity. Impunity going to think twice about this. Now, Quaterbot still holding his Fountain. They can stand their ground if they want to, but they're just going to heal up, grab some items, and get back to lane.
Yeah, they might actually lose their turret for this backport. Quaterbot cannot defend it by himself as a lone Churn Walker. Ace Gaming will strike for that first turret, taking the lead very much into their hands with a pretty substantial gold lead here, Humanist. They're really looking to try and solidify their mid-game power. Creations just finished that breaking point, which means for Impunity, if they can't take down Tassa early in the team fights, Creation's just going to be a monster that they cannot deal with. DefQ needs to come online. I suspect he'll go towards a Dragon's Eye as his second item, but maybe even considering a Broken Myth so he can try and pierce through the shielding. Creation has already picked up for himself. Quisi on this Sky scales into the late game, and so for Impunity, they have to bridge the gap somehow, and that's on DefQ and Cote d'Ivoire.
It's kind of interesting. It looks like right now, if the gauntlet does come down, Quisi kind of has to stay on the ground or run backwards, get stunned up, and just try to kite. Right? It feels incredibly dangerous, especially not having the breaking point complete right now. He ports back. He will complete this item. It does feel like a dangerous situation. Do you think maybe possibly a mistake to not have that reflex up so early?
Well, he has the Okart in his inventory. It's only 200 gold until he can complete a reflex block, so he's recognizing the mistake, the importance of a reflex block. Gold Miner to be contested.
Well, they're going to move in here. Gold Miner dropping low. A nice secure by Creation. The hook and chain there. Torment back onto Youngju. It doesn't look like there's going to be anything to follow. And there go their separate ways at this point. 8.5 minutes in. Ace Gaming just very slowly but surely a methodical gaining of resources across the map.
And that's just what Ace Gaming does so well, is their methodical, oh wow, pronunciation's not coming through. That's an Australian pronunciation right there, Humanist. They're just so good at taking objectives cleanly and not really overstepping their reach. And this is where the Impunity style can come in and kind of upset that. They're a little bit crazy, a little bit wild in their play. And if they can get onto Ace, surprise them, then it's really good. But Tassa's looking for a flank.
Speaking of wild, the Wild Child moving in from behind. The Gauntlet's going down. The Scorcher Troublemaker in on top. Tassa, nice burst damage on a DefQ, but it's Cote d'Ivoire on the front line taking a whole bunch of damage. He'll use his boots to try and reposition. He's got hook and chains up, forces the found the chest pass. 3-man stun. Now over the top. Dance with the Rose defensive DefQ. He wants Tassa. Tassa kites back, using that Troublemaker to his advantage. Quisi, he's trying to get away from Creation, but Creation will be able to take him down. It's traded 1-for-1 as Youngju's drop. DefQ's falling. They're falling like flies across the map. Cote d'Ivoire will go down. It's the Ace coming through for Ace Gaming, blowing this game wide open, and it feels like we're in mid-game, but this is still very early.
Yesterday we saw Ace Gaming going up against the pride of Brazil, Pains Gaming, and they seem to struggle, but here they're showing full respect to Impunity. Great engage comes through the flank.
That was
so well executed.
Beautiful.
Impunity, though, turned this around. That death from above really upset Ace Gaming's progression, but once they singled out Cote d'Ivoire, got him out of the team fight, and DefQ, this is really impactful on point. That could have been the difference between him killing Tassa.
Absolutely.
And the team fight going a different way. He just wasn't able to clean up. Tassa with just, you know, the most brave Razer I've seen in competitive play, diving in very low, but able to find the kill for himself. That Clockwork just doing so much work in the team fight, resetting his abilities, allowing him to get that Scorcher up off cooldown so quickly, allows Tassa to just have so much control over the space of a team fight, more mobility than a Black Feather, which is so important when you go up against this mobile hero, is that if you get that lead and he has a massive one over DefQ, then you can really start to punish it in these team fights.
Now, there were, as far as predictions, people were going both ways on this. You know, a lot of Impunity fans out here, but for good reason. They've been playing incredibly well. It looks insane what Ace have been able to do in the first 11 minutes of this game.
It's just Ace's game style, and it's what the Koreans here do so well in esports, is not taking fights that are disadvantaged. They play a low percentage game consistently so that they can get small wins. They understand that a war is just many small battles and you have to get through them. Ace going to play this slow and steady like a tortoise. Impunity may need to speed up like a hare, though, if they want to overtake this tortoise. The issue is that Fable doesn't work too well for the hare, so it's going to be very interesting. We have to remember, though, Impunity's composition scales incredibly into the late game. DefQ, once he finishes that Dragon's Eye that I assume he's going towards, is going to have so much damage when he gets it stacked up. You can go defensive and really just be that front line. They need to focus down Ace Creation here, try and keep him off Quisi. That's Cote d'Ivoire's job. But if Tassa's allowed full reign over the team fight, then it's very difficult for Quisi to maneuver.
Cote d'Ivoire has picked up the War Treads now. potential engage, but they just disengage immediately. That activatable, allowing his team to have that move speed, kite back, and like you said, maybe turtle up, slow things down just a little bit. Tortoise versus the turtle.
Right now, Ace are just going to poke around their heads to jungle. They're not going to push too far. They're not going to overstep. They're going to allow Impunity to start to sweat. Once you can start getting them sweat, getting them nervous, that...
We're in Singapore, I think everybody's sweating.
Once the Kraken spawns and joins us on the Halcyon Fold, that's when Impunity will feel threatened, like they need to make a move against this Ace powerhouse. That's when Ace Gaming can really just tighten the nuts and bolts here. Look at them backing off, waiting for Tassa to come. Waiting.
Starting to stack up that breaking point there. You saw it actually stacking up fairly quickly. And there's this moment, I think, with these weapons, guys, where it does just start to flip a switch. Yeah, it's really good into the Rona, using that mobility, but holding that Surrey strike. Oh, are they going to move up? Gauntlet's down. Well, I don't even know if he had to reflex back. Waterball able to block that and get back. Using the healing flask, and they jump on top of him. Death Form Detonator, using mobility. Death from above. Can it peel them enough? Waterball stays alive. They block off the Trespass stun. Now Death Q, he's got a Rose defensive backwards, trying to get over. Now Quasi, a nice Surrey strike. Do they want to dive in here? Creation definitely does. Death Q forcing his team back there. Death Q will go down. Wow, that's a very clean kill. You see Quasi not doing enough damage to actually follow up on anything.
Yeah, very tanky lineup Ace has here, and Tassa's playing as the squishiest member, playing so far in the back line, allowing for Death Q to overstep. They're going to try and take this sentry away. First Life taken off the board here at the 13-40 mark. Ace Gaming with a huge gold lead. It just seems like it's trickling every second here, Humanist. Up to 9,000. They're going to finish off a gold miner in the next minute or so, try and bait Impunity into the middle of the map just before the Kraken spawns. It makes the Kraken taking adventure so much easier for Ace Gaming if Impunity bring themselves to them. And Youngju, look at his vision. This guy lights up the map. In their game against TSM, there wasn't a section of the map that Ace Gaming couldn't see. Vision OP coming through from Youngju. If you had any quarrels or concerns about Ace's addition of Youngju to the roster, I think they can be silenced because Youngju has just been so solid for Ace Gaming.
Now, I'm looking at the items coming together. It looks like both captains going for this Echo item. Is this pretty equal on both sides as far as power spikes? Does one kind of trump the other?
Gauntlet will be far easier to execute over the Trespass. You can see Quadavar being singled out here. He's actually very squishy against Tassa.
Tassa, Scorcher, Troublemaker, he's got the mobility. He can chase on that. He'll pull back, wait for his team, no reason. Crystal Sentry just delivered right to them. Tip your driver.
Tip him well. Very fast delivery coming through here. And there's that Kraken spawning. Ace just going to start it up immediately. What?
It feels like literally everything on the map is just perfectly in sync with what they're trying to achieve, but this is them one step ahead.
They understand the rotation meta so well. There's the
down defensively, Quadavar is inside. They drop off of this Kraken. It will be Quadavar dropped down at the beginning of the fight now. Can Ace Gaming chase in for more? Creation stays back on the Kraken. Death Q dropping low. Oh, big plays by Tassa. Able to find another one. Now Quasi tries to dance, but goes down. A double kill coming through for Youngju. Huge plays, and things looking incredibly rough. And ladies and gentlemen, if Ace play this correct, they could potentially take the game.
Yeah, this could just be the end of Impunity very swiftly from Ace Gaming. Here's that replay, and it was an overstep from Quadavar trying to capture the Kraken and take it off. He just went down so quickly, managed to pop the fountain, but he was dead already. And Tassa, look at his control over Razer, keeping his distance from Quisi whilst taking down Death Q. He's made it look easy. Jumps out of the team fight and replay over. Kraken's push into the base. Ace looking for the engage.
Another Crystal Sentry delivery right on time. Kraken starts onto these Vein Crystal turrets. Impunity, what's the play here? They're trying to do a little damage to the Kraken, but at the same time, maybe stack up that breaking point. Waterball almost dropping there. His fountain's coming up in just a second here. Creation jumps in, and he pays the price. They didn't have a fountain of their own, and they're going to have to get out of here. Potentially a situation where they could have closed the game out. Well, Tassa jumps back in. They can eat my words right there, jumping around the Troublemaker back. He's in, he's out. They pull him back. They block off the stun. Quadavar dropping down low. He will go down. Tassa jumps over the top side, but the fountain can't keep him alive. Death Q most likely chases down Youngju. They will get the ace, they will get the Kraken. This is a huge swing in overall net worth for Impunity.
Yeah, it's gold back in their pockets, but Ace Gaming forced Impunity to fight them, meaning that this Kraken finished off the objectives and only a Vein Crystal remains between Ace Gaming and that Game 1 victory. They have played practically flawlessly. Their rotation understanding, respawns have just been perfect from them. It's such a pleasure to watch Ace Gaming come through. After yesterday, they was very concerned to see how this would work for them, if they would be able to swing it all back in their favor, but clearly they've gone away and realized that they need to play more cleanly if they want to be in the finals.
For you players watching that don't know exactly what's going on, he's holding that Treant there to make sure that his teammate does get that ambient goal, just making sure. It's so patient, and I really love this play. That's maximum effectiveness. It's really nice to watch.
Little turret goes over to Impunity because of that delay in the jungle. Some gold going into their pockets. Ace weren't there to clear the wave. These minions do pack a punch into turrets on 2.10. There's some gold feeding back over. Ace Gaming practically full builds here. PC needs more damage. Often we see Sky players actually sell their boots at this point, Humanist.
Don't do it.
Can build a 4th damage item. When you weapon power Sky and you have the auto attack speed of 3 items, then you can dance around the fight.
Might as well just pick Saw, don't tell exceptions. Second gauntlet, Youngju's in. Queasy blocks that off, able to move back. Death from above. Creation over the wall. He will be able to end this, but Death Q is there. Let's see if Queasy will be going down the heal. They block off the stun now. Creation just spinning with redness. I don't think Death Q can take him down. This is going to be game to Ace.
Wow.
Woo! Just to pad the stats there. This guy's a monster, Dowsy.
Incredible determination from Ace Gaming to come out and just take that game by force, saying, Impunity, you looked good, you're a dangerous team to play against, but we here are going to play that calm and calculated game style, really just understanding everything about the Vainglory, Halcyon Fold, when things are spawning, where you can push buttons. And they pushed Impunity's buttons correctly. Game 1 going over to Ace Gaming, and they looked so good in that match.
Wow, that was delicious, but it's only game 1. To break it down, Munchables and our analysts.
Thank you very much, Humanist. Creation pulling out the 1v1 at the end just to finish things off. What a dominant performance coming out from Ace. But I don't want to get too excited just yet. Let's remember, in their quarterfinal against Pain, they had a dominant game number 1, and then the series went on to the full 5 games. It was basically the closest series we've had this entire tournament. Could that be the same situation here, or do we feel like Ace are just absolutely on point today?
Well, last time that when they faced Pain, they dominated Pain in game 1, and they did the same thing against Impunity here. And their rotations, their synergy, their team fight, their aggressiveness, they just executed so well against Impunity when we felt like Impunity had a better job for the weapons guys. So they did a really good job with playing to their strengths in the early game especially.
Well, it does seem like when Ace Gaming are coming in with their plan against whatever opponent they're going up against, and they stick to that plan, it works well for them. Last time against Pain Gaming, they strayed away from that plan in the 2nd and 3rd game, and that's when they started losing. So baiting Impunity to pick that Churn Walker and then picking a very strong dive-heavy composition to delete it every single time in the team fights. If they stick to their plans coming into the series, they can definitely continue on dominating.
Yeah, we can take a look at the example of how they played against the Churn Walker here. We do have a replay from that game. Tasty Bacon, I want you to talk me through what happened during this team fight. What was the plan for Ace here?
Yeah, so many times whenever a team fight started, Ace just went all in onto the Sky. This is one of the few times where Sky sort of got herself out of dodge, but already you can see 1 kill picked up right off the bat. That massive dive composition was just too much for the side of Impunity to handle. When a player dies before a fountain or the other utility is even able to be popped, then your chances of winning that fight suddenly go from maybe even a 50-50 chance if we're being generous in this situation down to about a 10%.
Absolutely. Well, the mobility as well coming out from that Ace Gaming roster was terrifying. Like you see in that fight, they're zipping all up and down the map at the speed of light, it feels like. Even as a Sky, that's difficult to escape from. So definitely drafting up a Storm coming into game number 1, and I'm curious to see whether or not they'll be able to keep that rolling as we move on in the series. What is it that we need to see Impunity changing as we move on towards game 2?
I think Impunity just needs to warm up. I mean, DefQ played Blackfeather so phenomenal yesterday. And in this game, he's like missing his on points against Reza. Maybe it's because Tasa was so good at being mobile and poking with the Reza, but I feel like he didn't play his best Blackfeather in that matchup. And also, Churnwalker didn't have defense, and Ace just capitalized on that. They would focus him, and Rona, on a carrier captain without much armor, can delete you very, very quickly.
To me, the story actually was Tasa on that Reza. I mean, it definitely seems like it's a pocket pick they've been hiding throughout the competition. Now that they're in the semifinals, there is nothing else to hide. You have to bring all that you can come out with. So the Reza did an incredible job of snowballing the early game, and then later on, diving onto the Sky, just bursting down targets. Tasa did an incredible job.
He certainly did, and that's what we expect out of players of this caliber. Now, for any of you guys at home who have missed any of the games, anyone that's struggling to keep up with the world's action here, you can head over to Mineski.net. They're going to be doing coverage of the entire event, the entire World Championship. They're doing editorials and all kinds of content. So make sure to head over there if you're interested in keeping up with Worlds, getting some extra insight, and also any other esports as well. But it's about that time that we jump into game number 2 and kick off our draft here. So what is it that needs to happen for Impunity to win out a draft this time, to have an advantage coming into game number 2?
I want to see them look for something that's a little bit stronger in the early game. It felt like right out of the gate, Ace Gaming was able to find advantages over the side of Impunity because they just were not in a position to try and defend. The rotations and the collapse that came out of Ace, the 3-man rotation, while Impunity could only send 2, really caught them off guard and set up the stage for the rest of the game.
Yeah, on top of that, I think Arden played such a critical role with those Vanguards, those gauntlets, and I feel like Arden on Ace was so strong. I feel like Impunity needs to deny that or take that away from them.
The other thing is that it seemed like Impunity went for the Sky Weapon Power pick against the Rona just because it's been proven to work against her, rather than because they know it works for them as a team. It's something that we haven't seen them play in the past. So Impunity needs to not stray what works for them and just tries to go what works in 2.10. The story of this matchup is about each team's own metas and sticking to those rather than trying to play to the competitions.
Interesting first pick on Vox here. There's a lot of counters to Vox. You can try a weapon Adagio that we see works so well into him, and then take the Arden and then deny the Grace, or take the Grace and deny the Arden. Could work really well here. But let's see if Impunity may fall back maybe on their Crystal carry lane like Celeste. We know late game beats a Vox, but does struggle in the early phase.
It's important to point out that Churnwalker once again has made it through the first 2 bans, so that could be an option here for Impunity.
There's also the Blackfeather that is through the bans, and with Rona taking off the board, I could very easily see Impunity try and get the Blackfeather onto their composition. They are going to take the Arden first pick, but now that Blackfeather is still something that needs to be in the back of Ace Gaming's mind.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went for the Reza ban right here. Ace Gaming showed up huge on that pick, especially Tasa having the pick and playing very aggressive with it. Vox is another hero that can play aggressive, so if Impunity is trying to adapt as the series goes on, which is something that you should do in a best of 5, they should take away the Reza right
And
here.
last game, they did target ban the junglers, actually, with Samuel being banned. So maybe Reza could be good. Or they can just take Churnwalker off the map and not give Churnwalker over to a Vox competition that can dive into them. But it looks like they're going to instead remove the Grace.
So we talked about, taking the Arden and getting rid of the Grace, or vice versa. That is exactly what they do here. Arden, Grace, Lyra, all 3 of them taken off the board. So Ace, they're going to have to go a little bit deeper into that captain pool than most teams have had to go. But Lorelei is still in play, and Ace Gaming is one of the teams that we have seen run this Lorelei.
Yeah, and at this point they have the choice of what to ban. They went for the Cruel, so I mean, it could be that they're trying to go for the Reza again. Cruel does play well into it.
Yeah, maybe because they don't want to give over Celeste Cruel combination, potentially, I feel. Because they have played Celeste with Cruel. So let's see if Impunity is going to go ahead and pick up a strong jungler, or just secure maybe that CP lane Celeste if they want, or even take the Adagio if they play that weapon Adagio. Also, Baptiste is open, so they could actually pick up the Baptiste, honestly, because they play that hero so well.
Yeah, definitely a few options here. The other thing that's open is Kestrel. normal. Ace Gaming, neither team's played it last game, but both of these teams can play it. So Impunity, if they don't decide to go with it, Ace can still pick it up for Tasa and try to siege those turrets down in the early game to snowball the game.
A lot of me is still leaning towards a Black Feather pick, though, because it is just that flexibility. You want to have flexibility when you're drafting B-side and going into your final pick so that you can then choose and have multiple options, either lane or jungle, for where you want to go with your final counter pick. Obviously, a lot of thought being put into this one by Impunity, though. You can see their time ticking down, but they're going to take the Lorelei, and now this really squeezes the captain pool for Ace.
Yeah, Lorelei jungle is so strong with an Arden because you have a slow with her splashdown. You have Arden Vanguard, slows the enemy on top of that. You have the fish food with stuns, and once she has a lot of cooldown, she can actually put up to 3 splashdowns on the map, giving your team that mobility and slowing the enemy team. They're going to pick someone that can dive along with this composition.
This is most likely going to be a CP Black Feather with a Churnwalker for Ace Gaming. With a Vox, you're able to dive in, like you just mentioned, so we're trying to go for a dive composition that just plays really aggressively. Ace Gaming have really good composition available to them that they can play very well with the Churnwalker and the Black Feather. Let's see if they do decide to go for it.
Yeah, that may be a good option because you want someone that's mobile. They can jump away, they can run away in case you get caught in a gauntlet. Black Feather can just rose offensive and ult right through it. He can also run away if he's caught in a splashdown for Lorelei, which has a huge AoE area. So I think Black Feather will make it, but they're actually going with Glaive here and potentially pick the Churnwalker and play a really high dive comp.
Captain
This is
Glaive.
Captain Glaive.
Oh, boy.
Well, the Glaive has been a little bit of a pocket pick for Ace across the course of the tournament, but it has not been in that captain role. This changes things significantly.
EA used to play Captain Glaive so much back around 2.8, 2.9. It's something that they use incredibly well with the afterburns, setting up so many ganks, setting up so many aggressive plays. And against the Lorelei, she's very mobile. If he can land a afterburn when she doesn't have the splash for the speed boost, he can focus her down very easily.
Yeah, I think they did this to deny a strong weapon power carry on the side of Impunity because Glaive in that comp with Lorelei is strong, Black Feather as well, and then boom, the Baron gets picked here, which is a great pick because if he gets afterburn, he can just jump away to safety.
Not only can he just jump away to safety, but he can also get a water wall and get himself out to safety. So I think it's a really smart pick by Impunity. Their draft has been one of their biggest strengths all tournament long.
They're looking fantastic with it. This is like the ultimate protect the Baron composition, right? Because I would say Lorelei is even better as a jungler for peeling than maybe even the Batiste, which is saying something pretty significant.
Yeah, we're going to see a probably Aftershock Clockwork Lorelei. High cooldown. She can proc Aftershock every 2 seconds with a quick cooldown on her splashdown. And she's probably provided a lot of utility to protect the Baron along with Arden.
It's time to head into game 2, gentlemen. It is time to get your predictions for this one. Impunity are 1-0 down. Are we going to have an even series, or will this be 2-0 to Ace?
I think Impunity will take this one just based off of the fact that going back to their strengths, playing with the Vox, weapon power in the lane, Lorelei and Arden seems to be a huge pocket pick that they've been hiding throughout the tournament, so I'm going to go with Impunity.
While Ace Gaming looks incredibly strong, I am going to say that I do think Impunity has the advantage in this one, but I would not be surprised if Ace do still manage to take it.
All right, Sweet J.
I love Lorelei jungle. You finally see a Lorelei jungle, so I'm going to give this to Impunity.
All right, well, we do have an Impunity desk here once again, despite Ace taking the first game. It's time to find out who is going to take game number 2. It is time to get into this one. Pass it up to Humanist and Dowsy for semi-final number 2, game number 2.
That's right, we're up here, semi-final number 2, game 2. Interesting drafts here. We're going to have a little bit of a Lorelei composition coming together here. Dowsy.
It's true. It's protect the Baron. Arden and Lorelei so much shielding, but, you know, I love what Ace did in the draft there. When you pick Arden and Lorelei, you want to hyper carry, protect someone. And Ace said, nah, man, we're taking everything off the board that we think you will be playing. In comes that Baron, though. Queesy's going to have to have the game of his life here because he is going to be the main and only source of damage for Impunity. It rides on his back, and you know, Queasy has quite an important story which we'll tell later on in this game because here we go.
Oh my goodness, I mean, we have stories to come, an amazing match to be played. Let's get it on. We're onto the map right now. We'll see Lorelei moving into the jungle with the Baron, of course. Quadrawa will be moving out deep into the map with that Arden there. Maybe look to steal something away. It feels like there's huge burst potential for Ace.
Yeah, Ace is just going to look to try and blow someone up, and it may just be Quadavois here.
Quadavois had moved forward. He's going to be stunned up. That afterburn going to work. Pop that healing flask, and with the Vanguard, wow, that is a tanky hero right there.
And this is a rotation Ace made all the way through their group stages, immediately into the middle of the map when they had a superior level 1 to their opponents. Take away that healing camp at the front. Take away the Elder Treant here. Really just deny Impunity everything. They're going to look for a steal, but they cannot fight.
Into the afterburn there. Defq's going to try and move back. He's not as tanky, but Youngju's the one taking the majority of the damage. Tossa on the front line, 2-man on point. Who's going to go for it? Attacks on the Queasy. Defq tried to chase for the kill, but he will be paid for that one. First blood traded, 1-for-1 there. Tossa will go down. Now Youngju thinking about maybe getting in position for an afterburn. I do really like the glaive, of course, with that Dragon Blood contract. It's pretty cheeky.
Yeah, very good for the side of Ace, but they kind of bit off more than they can chew. And Impunity very bravely looking for the returning kill. Let's focus in on Queasy here. The Baron, the man, this is his hour. Back in the 2016 World Championships, Queasy was the substitute for Infamous Legion, the team from SEA that this roster heralds from. They moved over to Impunity at the beginning of 2017 with Queasy in the substitute position, and he remained there. Even after Spaghetti left the team, he remained substitute. It was only until very recently they brought him in as the main carry for the team, and he's had an impactful Worlds performance. I'm so excited for this guy's story, what he's been able to do so far, and if he's able to put Impunity on his back in this game, that shows a lot about Impunity's trust for Queasy.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting story to tell, but I think also a lesson to be learned, you know? You just keep working, and eventually good things will come to you, especially if you're talented as this guy.
Yeah, and this Baron pick can have so much influence. In the early game, it's really good into Vox because you have a really good amount of range. You can use that jump jets for a very short jump just to burst down creation on this Vox, spamming those mortars to try and push the lane. You have to be careful of Youngju, his ability to jump this Baron and afterburn him backwards, allowing Tassa a very clean gank is something to be feared.
Down in the jungle, it looks like we're going to have a little bit of action. Was that actually stolen? No, Defq able to grab that up. Youngju trying to find the damage, but over the wall, Queasy's here. Tassa will go down. Huge plays, and Youngju's going to pay for this as well. Little fish food. Pretty delicious there on Creation. Trying to do some damage. He's going to take more than he was able to dish out there.
Most people look at Baron and think, man, this is a late game damage threat, but you have to remember he can just do so much when he plays around his jump jet specifically. And Ace Gaming's roster here, whilst it's very much a high burst single target focus, it is very all or nothing. Once they dive in with that afterburn, they have to commit to the fight and blow up the person that they focus. If they're unable to do so, then there is a lot of turnaround. When you have Quadavois on this Arden to provide Vanguard shieldings, Defq with a water wall to come in just a bit, then you can really protect that single target, as well as remove any CC on him through the water wall. Ace may have been out-drafted in this game. Impunity definitely have to continue to be strong, though, because Ace will sniff weakness at any part of the game, and if they're able to find a lead for themselves, then they will run away with it.
Ace kind of dialing back here. Queasy moving forward, but realizes that's not the place to be. A little quick Vanguard, and he repositions back. Just happy to farm at this point. Looks like probably just getting into that Star Blade. Was it Star Blade plus crit? Hold that thought. Afterburn, Queasy back. He doesn't have the jump jets. He's down. Really nice fighting around the cooldowns there out of Ace.
Yeah, Queasy was being very patient in the bush, but he used his jump jets thinking he could punish Creation. That's when he realized Tassa was there, and that's when he hoped that Ace didn't know he couldn't escape. This turret will be threatened, but Ace are very much melee focused, so they cannot push in without being threatened by Defq, and the turret shall remain intact for now for Impunity. But there it is, that weakness that Ace Gaming can sniff out. When they see it, they strike, and they will threaten so hard. Potentially a poor rotation, they all backport. Impunity can do some damage to this turret.
Impunity on the tier 1 turret here. Creation is back. He's going to try and get these last hits. It's Tassa moving up from the jungle, and huge burst potential already coming out with that aftershock complete. Now, what might we see? There's go the port back. What might we see come out of this Black Feather next?
Black Feather building towards the Aftershock. Tassa loves his clockwork, and we suspect to see that come through. In fact, I suspect that just to be the build for DefQ as well. It's such a strong build, and we've seen these Loreleis prioritize it as well because of the cooldown reduction you get. Splash down off cooldown very, very quickly. Water wall multiple times in a team fight to keep your priority target alive. The Aftershock's being completed here for both these junglers, but Tassa has a infusion in his inventory, so watch out for that in the next team fight because it can provide so much damage to the CP Black Feather.
It's really interesting to see Creation go for the breaking point first. It does feel like, from my play-by-play perspective, that a Poison Shiv could be pretty good here. What are your thoughts on that?
Poison Shiv would be excellent against this composition because Poison Shiv does three things. It reduces healing by 33%, it reduces fortified health by 33%, and potentially unknown to many players, it also reduces barrier by 33%, and there is a lot of barrier on the side of Impunity here with that Vanguard and Water War. So the Poison Shiv would be an excellent purchase, but Creation loves his Breaking Point Double Tyrant's Monocle build because of the damage you can output very quickly onto a single target, especially if you're able to stack that Breaking Point up onto the front line, being Quadavoir and DefQ, transfer the damage onto Quisi when you boots forward with your movement speed, and really just try and deal as much to Quisi in a short period of time.
I think that makes sense. I mean, you're also fighting up against complete burst as well, so it's a little bit outbursting potentially. We'll see how it plays out here. Youngju getting that scout trap down in the top rush there. It's actually really nice, especially when they're able to get the kill on Quisi up there earlier. If he's just hanging out, it'll be very easy to find that gank. Unity hanging out. That's awesome. Moving around the backside. We'll see if Youngju wants to go for the engage. Could be that afterburn right into the Dragon Ball contract. Now the splashdown's there. Jump jet's back. Tassa on target, but quickly has to get back. Creation's low on energy and low on health. They have a fountain. There's the gauntlet down. They're going to be able to find the stun and the kill. Impunity. A very aggressive move. And they're able to find one, probably a turret as well if they don't make any mistakes here. A pre-Vanguard in before Tassa can jump in, and a very nice objective take for Impunity.
There was a moment of hesitation there from Youngju, and it cost Ace Gaming so dearly. The gold is in favor of Impunity now through that turret take. And it was just that uncoordination coming through from Ace. Tassa was committed to his flank, and Youngju wasn't sure about it. Their team was on a little bit more of the same page. Maybe they would have been able to burst down Quisi, but Impunity are getting this Baron stacked up. Two items now are picked up by Quisi. The Tension Bow and the Sorrow Blade provide so much impact burst very early on in this game. It really allows Quisi to kind of feel more threatening as we enter the mid-game. For Ace, their win condition is so clear, but they're struggling to reach it. They need to jump Quisi as a unit and blow him up. Echo should be prioritized by Youngju so he can really just lock down a single target. But Quisi now, level 8, means he has his overdriven jump jets and movement speed, stuns and all that. It's really hard to hit.
Oh, you might have made a mistake. The wait for it comes down. Quisi punished. What was he thinking? DefQ. He tries to water wall and get back with the Vanguard. It's not enough. He will go down. Quadavoir holding that fountain there, and he's going to go down as well. No, a nice usage of the reflex there to keep him alive. Youngju juggling that turret aggro. And that turret will go down, so very nice plays out of Ace.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why Quisi dived there. I think a flare got thrown out by Quadavoir. Not entirely sure, and it looked like it consumed most of that top bush. Maybe there was just a bit of vision that lapsed. A corner of the bush that Creation was stood in that wasn't visible to Impunity, and they felt safe to make that move. Either way, that is hurtful to Impunity because it has reinforced Ace Gaming's win condition and given them the confidence that they can execute this composition that they've drafted. So aggressive, Creation has to play so far up in the lane to make things work. That top bush in the lane has to be a priority for Quadavoir and his vision game.
I mean, I think it's also double value, Dowsy, because when we look at the infusions, Quisi had his weapon infusion up. It just times out he grabs another one, but Creation as well. So he's able to actually get value out of that. On the flip side, Quisi's not getting anything. So a huge win for Ace.
Certainly is. 4-4 gold in the favor of Ace Gaming, and they're starting up the gold miner here, really saying to Impunity that you need to come to us if you want to secure gold in this game, or else we're going to get the lead. Here comes the Iron Cannon, but it's far too late.
Yeah, I was going to say just a little bit too late, but far too late. It did feel like Impunity. What's the play here? They don't have that Baron ultimate, but still will be moving forward. Ace a little bit split up. Tossa always approaching from behind here. Look at that on point. Starting to do very nice burst damage.
And it's just this vision control set up by Youngju that allows Tossa to be so aggressive in his flanks. He knows exactly where Impunity are constantly. He knows their every move, and so he can feel very comfortable maneuvering himself around the jungle to try and get into positions that Impunity would not expect him from. So much priority on vision from Ace Gaming. Quadavar's not quite matching it. It does put Youngju behind, though. All these scout traps he's purchasing, they're very expensive, Humanist, and so he won't be hitting any Echo Power Spikes soon. But if he can rely on Creation and Tassa to output the damage, and you can see that Shadow Glass that's come through for Tassa to just make sure his burst is as impactful as possible at range before he dives in with the Aftershock to make it even worse. Oh, Queasy!
Queasy, oh, nice jump jets out of there. And that's where you see the power of that overdriven ability. Can't lock that guy down.
Very difficult once he hits that level 8, and eventually he will probably get himself a reflex block as well if he feels it's necessary to be able to kind of counter Youngju. Youngju's afterburn, he's going to focus on his cooldown. Tassa able to jump over the wall there. Impunity will struggle to lock down Ace. They are very mobile, so Impunity can't really hard engage them because it only plays into Ace Gaming's win condition. They want to be as close to the Baron as possible. You can see Queasy's just waiting over walls so that he doesn't get caught out.
The afterburn preemptive. Now the gauntlet comes down. Youngju taking a whole bunch of damage. Crystal Sentry most likely goes down. Quadavar actually felt like he maybe would go down there. He's holding his fountain now. DevQ jumped by Tossa. Look at the burst damage coming out, and he will go down. Ace on the chase right now. Queasy looking to get a couple attacks. Jump jets backwards. And look at the splash damage coming out. Youngju, Tossa sharing a little bit of damage. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Queasy now with that monocle will hurt. The armor hasn't quite been finished yet for Ace Gaming, but they're looking for another engage.
Another set of toward Quadavar. He'll go ahead and get that. Well, he get the Vanguard onto his ally there. Turns around with the blood for blood. Jump jets forward. This looks really good. Queasy, but he gets bursted down. Ace calculated.
You're just seeing the threat that Ace Gaming have, and DevQ has to be careful he doesn't chase too forward because Afterburn is available again for Youngju.
DevQ, he's going to move in, trying to get the damage down. Creation, though, they jump right back in. They take Quadavar down. Now DevQ, oh, Left 4 Dead goes down, and an Ace punished for their mistakes.
Yeah, this is Impunity starting to threat, starting to get scared because Ace Gaming are playing such a threatening game here, Humanist, and Impunity continue overstepping their mark, as we'll see in the replay. DevQ thought he could take them all, but you have to respect this afterburn on the captain. No, he's not doing much damage, but he's providing so much utility for Tassa and Creation to be able to jump onto the front line and feel very safe in their ability to just damage. Creation has a very high crit build. The breaking point with the Tyrant's Monocle and the Tornado Trigger. Double attack speed, double crit.
So good.
And he has the defenses as well to be able to survive a fish food, survive that initial jump jets as well. Queasy getting closer and closer. 1300 gold to completing his second Monocle. It will be a massive power spike for him, but Impunity need to remember they cannot be the aggressors, and that's where Ace Gaming can punish them so consistently by going into the jungle, taking away Crystal Sentries, and sweating out Impunity.
Like to be Crystal Sentry going down, Ace taking it essentially for free. Impunity are as 3. Another miss there out of DevQ. Now, you were talking earlier about how Lorelei is incredibly strong, but this is a hero you definitely want to be landing the majority of your abilities.
You have to. Your fish food is so strong into these melee matchups. See, DevQ has actually maxed out his Q here. His A ability, the fish food, sorry. Means that he has extra range so that they can try and catch someone out. Tassa's a little bit split from the team fight. Did Youngju just fail his afterburn? No, he's being spotted out. Just waiting over the mark, and where's Creation? Up in that bush. Impunity are starting to get scared. They don't know where anyone is. They don't have the vision to be able to spot out.
I don't even know where anybody is
Ace Gaming. There's Creation coming down from the bush. The Kraken has now spawned, and Ace are going to move over towards that side of the map. so that they can try and catch out a bad rotation from Impunity.
You really notice watching Ace, and you said sneaky hanging out in that brush there, but they've done it as a team. They do it as individuals.
Right.
They're very hard to predict exactly where these guys are going to be.
And when you look at the movement speed they prioritize, Youngju has the wall treads. He can pop that, and it will at least hit Tassa. Creation can move in with his journey boots, and all of a sudden they've surrounded Quisi before he knows it. And if Impunity aren't quick to react, then it's going to be difficult. But a massive power spike for Cote d'Ivoire is this Echo Gauntlet, and the way he needs to use it is defensively. Impunity can't be the aggressors. When they are, they fail to take down Ace Gaming. But with a double Gauntlet from the Echo, what they can do is create a space for Quisi to stay in the team fight and lay down that damage. That's going to be the last Crystal Sentry taken. Will Impunity move in? No. They understand their win conditions so well. And there's that Tyrant's Monocle coming through for Quisi. Ace Gaming have to remember that Baron late game is pretty strong. And if they allow him to jump jets and lay down that damage, considering they're all melee, they're going to be grouped up on top of him.
Right.
That's a lot of splash damage coming out.
He's incredibly strong in the late game with a full item build. It's coming together for Quisi, but you look at Creation, he's incredibly strong as well, but this guy able to prioritize some defense because of Vox.
Right, and of course Vox is a ranged hero, but he's got the shortest auto-attack range, so you know he is practically in melee range with these melee heroes. They're starting up the Kraken here. They want Quisi to dive on in, but look how far back he is. This Kraken should just go over to Ace Gaming before they even strike, but Ace won the fight.
They're going to be able to find an afterburn. Youngju, he does have an Echo, a second afterburn coming through. That's pretty tasty. Over the wall with the Echo, he should, or the Gauntlet there, he should be able to echo that up and have a second one coming through. Wait for it, lands on two, moving forward, Creation, huge damage onto Quisi. Quisi, a defensive jump jets. Oh, another afterburn. Oh, a nice little Sonic Zoom over the wall. DevQ goes down, Quisi turns, Youngju dropping low, has the fountain. Quisi will go down, traded there. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Ace come out on top. Cote d'Ivoire, he shouldn't get chased down here, should he? He will. Well, at this point, he's going to be missed with that on point, but the Faint of Heart, it's just a matter of time. He will go down here.
Yeah, he is going to go down, and we'll start this replay up because Ace struck so quickly. They saw Cote d'Ivoire out of position, and look over the wall. It was a failed jump jets coming out from Quisi to get over. He was just trying to play his distance game, but Cote d'Ivoire was consistently split, and Ace played that so well, making sure to put the pressure on Cote d'Ivoire whilst Ace and Youngju dealt with the actual threat being Quisi. But once DevQ went down, it was so easy. None of those gauntlets had any impact. Quisi was not getting the protection he needed from his Arden, and Ace just played Impunity like a book.
Desperation plays coming out of Impunity here. I mean, you can see Quisi's doing damage, but the way Ace are playing it, they only gave them one option, and that was Youngju. But at that point, it doesn't really matter. That is not your win condition. And Impunity find himself in an incredibly tough position at this point. Ace Gaming hanging back. Youngju looking for a key target at this point. Has Echo ready to go.
This is a really dangerous place for Ace to fight. In the base there, can be baited into a position where Impunity have favor, and so Ace need to be very careful about this turret push. You can see them playing really far back, allowing Impunity to take down this Kraken, knowing full well that they could just allow Impunity so much control over the game, and Ace would come through. Impunity would push at least 2 turrets from that Ace, and that's very clever play coming through from the East Asian champions of Ace Gaming. Not looking to fight, knowing that they can just continue to smoke out Impunity in their jungle like they've done so often this game. I wonder how threatened they feel about Quisi at this point, and I wonder what Quisi's decision will be. Journey boots being prioritized. He still has no defense. Is he feeling that he needs to go towards more offense at this point? It's something that the SEA teams sometimes do, is just neglect defense entirely when they feel they need to hyper carry.
I mean, honestly, until he can grab another item, I'd kind of like to see a flare in that slot. I know he's waiting for a weapon infusion, but Ace have been so sneaky, it feels like you have to kind of prioritize some vision.
It's going to be that infusion coming through for Quisi here. And once more, Ace moving into the jungle of Impunity. Vision is there, and here comes the engage.
All right, boots forward, the afterburn. That's not the what he would look for now. It's the stun back, and the water wall comes down. DevQ doing his job, keeping Quisi alive for the moment. But you can see, Ace are the ones moving forward aggressively. Impunity, full defensive mode. And it's really not what you're looking for when you have this Baron. Look for Youngju hanging on the backside of that wall. Once again, using this vision to his maximum potential. It's actually really beautiful to watch. Oh, they're going to move down Quadraba. Actually, it's interesting that he moves in so aggressively there, not knowing where Creation is. The Creation moves around the backside. Splashdown comes through. DefQ, it's interesting uses of its Splashdown.
Yeah, and so Splashdown actually does not reveal your opponents. It might look like DefQ is trying to scout for Ace Gaming here. What he is doing is placing them down in areas that Ace Gaming may look to flank from, and would of course slow them if they were to do so. So whilst it doesn't actually reveal out anyone where you do not have vision, it could just slow them down if they were to try and strike. So DefQ with the clockwork and the aftershock, he has Splashdown off cooldown every 4 seconds. It's ridiculously slow, so he can just throw them out willy-nilly, knowing full well that he can use a impactful Splashdown in a team fight if he needs to.
DefQ, another Splashdown, moving forward, trying to get his team in position. And it's also nice to have that where the jump jets might come out, land, get a couple attacks, and then be able to move backwards very easily. Ace thinking about getting onto the Kraken, but they know that a fight is waiting here. Impunity still have a chance to move in. I mean, you steal that Kraken, take a kill, suddenly things get flipped on their head here in this game, and I really like that Ace kind of slow play this one.
Yeah, Ace know that their all-in composition is just that, and if they're to fail, then Impunity will strike. Quadraba potentially taking too much damage here.
Quadraba, he has that double gauntlet available. Queasy stunned, but there's the jump jets. He moves back. One gauntlet, the Ion Cannon comes through. Big damage onto Ace. Splash damage as well. The second gauntlet. Youngju's trapped inside with Creation right here. Jump jets forward. They're able to get one. Impunity looking for more. That was the boots forward. Creation maybe potentially have made a mistake here. Tossa will land the on point. Fish food. This hit, but the Splashdown not in position to move them forward exactly the way. Now, that water wall signals that they want to jump, and maybe a little bit of miscommunication between this this roster out of Impunity.
It's up every 10 seconds for DefQ, and it gets reduced every time he uses an ability. Impunity need to take this Kraken whilst Youngju is down, or at least threaten the Kraken so Ace Gaming make a mistake, but instead they're backporting. They're so scared. The respect for Ace Gaming is huge, potentially too much at this point. Impunity are in the in the semi-finals by their own right here. They've defeated the previous world champions, but against Ace Gaming you can see that they are showing all the respect.
Are you guys ready to play some games? I think it's about to happen here, Dowsy. Impunity start up the Kraken. Youngju's on the map. He's going to be making his way out here. Now, Tossa on this Black Feather is one of the best at stealing this, potentially. Wait for it, comes over the top. Impunity, they unleash the Kraken. Things have turned around in the crowd. Now beginning to cheer once again as the home team finding some signs of life.
Creation is looking for a flank play here. Quadrabois has flares, and they're desperately trying to find him. There it is. They've spotted the Vox. And now Ace are forced to focus down the Kraken and wait until Impunity get close enough, but the Splashdowns allow them quick retreat away from the Kraken. Impunity can play the beast so well here. Here's the attempted engage.
Jump Jet's back. That's going to be the gauntlet down, but he does not have the Echo just yet. Waterblock. He's going to move forward, but he's locked down. They have the stun. He shouldn't be able to get out of here. Oh, that Vanguard onto his ally. Gets some very nice positioning. And that Splashdown, the movement speed, the slow onto his opponents is so important.
Yeah, against this really low range composition, the Vox double melee, the Splashdown is being so influential in the late game. Turrets falling to this Kraken. The choke point shall remain intact, but Impunity are starting to claw their way out of this dark tunnel that Ace Gaming has dug. And if they can continue to play this game so perfectly in the late game, their composition is so well suited to deal with what Ace Gaming wants, then the comeback could be real.
I mean, I feel like Impunity have a good chance at winning this. I mean, Queasy, he's going 5 offensive items. This is just a thing of beauty.
We said that it was potential, that the SEA region not scared to just stack offensive when they feel like they need to.
Tossa, big damage off the bat. Rose offensive backwards. The Splashdown comes down. A nice positioning for Impunity to either move forward or backwards as needed. And between that and the Vanguard, Queasy getting huge boosts of movement speed. Also, with his tier 3 boots up, that 12-second cooldown off of getting that reduced when he gets his attack down, it is actually really hard to lock this Baron down.
Yeah, super hard. Basically, Water War and Vanguard are on very similar cooldowns here. Meaning that Impunity can...
That's pretty insane.
Look to chain them essentially. Big barrier for Impunity's Baron.
Creation, sneaky Creation. All right, get in there. A little bit of poke, but right back out.
And this is just a game of cat and mouse here, trying to find their way in. Ace Gaming looking for that perfect engage, but Impunity have figured out that the splashdown is the way to control these fights. And DefQ has to continue laying them down in such perfect fashion.
I mean, you also see the 3 metal jackets across the board. Like, these guys know. They know what the threat is right here. They itemized for it. But even though they have this defense, this massive amount of defense for themselves, there's still the potential for Quisi to burst them down. This Baron hitting like a truck right now. And he hasn't had the ideal game either. He's been on the back foot, but coming through. Impunity down in net worth. 26 minutes into this game. I mean, this game is resting just on a nice edge. Oh, with the war chest, they found Quisi. He jump checks. He blocks off that stun. Toss a Rose offensive forward. Who's going to be the target? Quaterbaugh is the only one that's left himself out. He'll drop the gauntlet down. A very defensive maneuver here. Was he able to echo that one up? Yes, he does. Massive splashdown. It's just like an ocean here in front of Ace Gaming that they do not want to run through, consistently slowing them down. And you're just seeing the power of the Lorelei at this moment.
And not only that, the vision has started to be cleared. Quaterbaugh taking back control of the map.
Okay, Afterburn in. So once again, it's just Quaterbaugh the only one who's left himself out there as a potential target. Splash damage from Quisi. Creation taking a lot of damage. The Baron doing work. The fish food not going to land. Splashdown's there. Gauntlets down. Rose offensive allowing Tossa to get out. Creation will get back with that block. Youngju, though, he's left for dead. Impunity. Chase him down. They got the stun. They're going to be going for Tossa. Quisi, does he have the jump jets up? Who's going to be your target? It's Creation. He wants this box. Box, you will be punished. Another jump jets over the wall. Tossa down in the jungle. Looks like Creation able to get out of this. Has the mobility to do so. But Dowsey, how is this going to play out?
Impunity are now looking to take the Kraken away from Ace Gaming. And then they can push into the base and try and finish this game once and for all. The crowd are starting to get excited as their home team is looking to try and take it here against Ace Gaming. Equalize the series, and Quisi is finding Tassa.
Yeah, he's found Tossa. And then that splashdown comes through. Tassa's gonna die! Quisi will chase him down. Creation wants to play over here. They got the kill. Quaterbaugh's only low. Creation in a 3 versus 1 situation. He locks onto Quisi. He wants a kill, but he will go down! This game is just absolutely nuts.
This game is bananas. And Youngju is respawned. Enclave has so much base damage, and Impunity will respect the threat of a Kraken Steel. It's far more consistent, better, less risky to just go for a turret here and take it away. And if they kill Youngju as well, it's just an icing on the cake. The choke point turret easily consumed here by DefQ, and they can back away way before Tassa and Creation will ever threaten them. Choke point turret easily consumed here by DefQ.
Just take a moment to breathe. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 28 minutes into this one. 12-10, net worth in favor of Ace, but at this point, it's negligible. This is not a big difference. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could call this one right now, Dowsey, I'll make you prophesize, as sometimes I make Denominate do. What do you call?
Seems to me Impunity are playing so well into this Ace Gaming composition. I think Ace have missed their time to execute this game. They've missed their chance to do it easily. Not to say it's an impossible feat, but DefQ and Quaterbaugh, their ability to reconnect and just make sure they're fighting on their terms rather than Ace Gaming's has been impeccable in this late game. Impunity looking to take this one
right now, can they?
Do they need to back? Not really.
They thought about it. I like that Ace did shove out that lane at least. Impunity are going to hang around here. Just kind of like fishing with the fish food at this point, throwing it over the walls. If it lands, that's great. Otherwise, the cooldown is so short, it's really not a problem.
And look at the item difference coming on through between these two captains. Youngju, despite the scout trap and prioritization, has managed to continue his build. Oh wow, Ace are taking this Kraken down.
Of course they're going to take this.
How quick can they do it? Not that quick. Impunity will spot it.
Impunity!
Will they spot it?
Don't let this go for free! Quaterbaugh, move in here. I want to see a steal right here. What's it going to be? Ion Cannon comes out over the top side of the Ace. Get the Kraken now. now. The fight, will it happen, or is he going to play this defensively? Youngju taking damage, splash down into the gauntlet. Youngju should go down. Queasy has the damage creations on the backside of Impunity here. And Tossa in the brush, they don't know where he is. The wait for it will come down onto DeathQ. Tossa looks like he wants to get in there and do something to kind of peel them, well, not peel, but maybe distract them from chasing creation. And nobody will be caught at this moment. Ace are going to hang around and be a bit of a distraction. Tossa over the wall, on points there. Jump Jets lands. Pretty decent damage, but they need to get on this Kraken. Like, you don't want to just let it march into the base at this point.
Impunity need to be decisive right now, Humanist, or else they will lose this game due to that Kraken take. They need to either take the fight or take the Kraken, and the Kraken is more threatening.
Fake the fight, take the Kraken, I don't know. Either way, just do something. Creation dropping low. Queasy, he attacks the Kraken, moves back, attacks Ace. Gauntlet is on cooldown at this point. Ace will go ahead and retreat. And Dowsey, we're going into 31 minutes here.
How long can Impunity play this game against Ace? Because at the moment it is Ace being the proactive team. Impunity are consistently reacting to whatever the Koreans throw at them, as their team composition should, but it means that Impunity don't have as much control as it would appear they do with that splashdown. They can control the battleground, but they can't necessarily control when Ace engages upon them. Always making it very threatening to be in this position because they rely on Ace to engage them, and then their ability to kite and their ability to catch a member out of position so Queasy can do his job. Very difficult. Quadavoir, his Echo, and his Gauntlet are split on timings.
Youngju eating a little bit of damage, but just the defensive afterburn there. He hangs around here. They're going to be going for it.
They're looking to finish the game.
He's just canceling. He's trying to cancel the teleport. They've got to get back. One turret remaining. What's the play? Youngju, he stopped a couple of teleports. Isn't enough. The last crystal turret will go down. He missed the gauntlet. Quaterfall, a regrettable mistake right there. The Queasy's here. He's on the top of the main crystal turret. Goes down. Ace, make the sneaky play. He get it to go up 2-0.
What an incredible way to end the game there, Humanist.
Wow.
A backdoor coming through from Ace Gaming. A 30-minute affair. Impunity not able to deal with this massive melee threat, engage threat, and Impunity will be dropped despite their late game prowess. Ace Gaming is just bloody good at Vainglory, and they're showing it here. Just consistently pushing Impunity to their limits. And the champions of SEA are starting to falter. East Asia, the champions of 2016. The newcomers in Ace Gaming looking to dethrone Rocks potentially at this championship. If they can take that crown tomorrow, well, they have to get there first, Humanist.
These guys are pretty good. Dowsey broke it down live for you guys, but maybe we missed some stuff. I know they were sneaky. Munchables, Iraqi, Tasty Bacon, Sweet J, break it down for us.
I cannot believe that that is the way a game like that ends. A 30-minute slugfest between these two teams. After game one was such a one-sided affair, Impunity come into game two and swing everything at Ace. It was not quite enough though. Ace still come in and take the game in the end.
Yeah, we talked about how crazy the off-meta has been, and today this game showed two compositions that were so off-meta, but both teams executed so well. Impunity, though, I gotta give them. At 7:20, they had an Ardent Gauntlet stun with a fish food combo, killed the creation, took the first turret, and looked like they were gonna be the more aggressive team. But Ace turns it around and takes the lead.
Honestly, the crazy level of mobility that Impunity had with this Lorelei pick in the jungle just meant that they could charge around the map at lightning speed across this game.
There were multiple times where this team made movements where they split up as a team right around the Kraken. One member going north, two members going south, and we were sitting there watching. We were like, how are they getting away with like their plays that normally you would just be so immensely punished for, but because of their movement speed composition, they were able to get away with these plays, and it ended up really kind of messing with Ace, I think, because Ace ended up looking sort of out of sorts right after each and every one of those plays, and then one member would get caught out. It was just so well played to their composition.
I mean, what's also so impressive is Ace Gaming, towards the later stage of the games, they always look for the team fight on their own terms. They never get into a team fight unless they know they're going to win it. And that's why these games, for them, keep on stalling to such a long time in the game. And they're also so breathtaking because everything is so close. It can get either way very easily.
Yeah, honestly, for the full 30 minutes, I think everybody in this room, and probably you guys at home as well, were sitting on the edge of their seats. We're now in a situation, though, where it is 2-0 to Ace Gaming. That is a great position to be in if you're in the lead. Let's take a look at a replay from that game, one of the team fights that came on through. There was a lot to pick from, and honestly, they were all incredibly close between the teams.
And this was one where the engage from the glaive, double afterburn, using the echo on glaive, something we have not seen for a long time, to try and set up these plays. But the members of Impunity just were not willing to go down easily. You could see how long, drawn out, and spread out these fights ended up being.
Yeah, and the comp that Impunity played, they have to stick together. That's where they shine. Every time they stuck together in late game, Ace could not get onto the Baron. It was a 5 damage item Baron. I mean, that was so risky, but it worked. But unfortunately, Ace, they won that mid game. They had an ace at the 13-minute mark. It went from a 1K gold lead to a 4K gold lead, and that's what got Fox actually ahead of damage on Baron, and that's when they were able to capitalize on that and just play to their win condition.
That's the key there. Impunity are just not playing up to par today for some reason. Their synergy, even in the team fights they're winning, is very lacking. They would either split up, go in different directions when their composition needs to stick together, or they would chain abilities incorrectly at the wrong times instead of at the right times to sustain those CC and letting the Baron deal the damage.
Okay, we have another replay of one of the fights that happened later on into the game as well. There were so many team fights across this game that there was a multitude to pick from, but once again, Ace looking for the engage.
Yeah, look at that Baron jump, that Ardent Vanguard. You just cannot get onto the Baron, and his range is farther than the Vox, so he's able to poke constantly. And look at the Lorelei, the constant splashdown, slowing, giving the entire team speed, and this Glaive cannot get out of the gauntlet. And when they're together like this, they just excel.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a mistake by Youngju, because you say he can't get out of the gauntlet. He activated a Crucible and then just kind of walked around in a circle inside the gauntlet. Could have just popped the Crucible and walked out of the gauntlet. Would have been able to get out alive, perhaps. But it's still just sacrificing himself a little bit, perhaps, for the rest of the team to be able to escape. The tail end of that fight ended up with Vox getting into a 1v2 situation and saving potentially the game by getting a kill onto Baron at the last possible second. But this game was just so close.
Honestly, all of the team fights towards the late stages of the game, a lot of them actually felt like they were going to go the way of Impunity, but they were so close, right down to the very wire each and every single time. Let's take a look at the damage done during that game, because I'm pretty sure the numbers are going to be obscenely high coming out of that one. 54,000 damage on the Baron. QC doing so much work in that game.
I mean, that's what their composition was built to do. Let the Baron deal the damage and protect him. That's why he went for the 5 offensive item build. He picked up a Tornado Trigger on top of the 2 TMs he had. It was all about him dealing the damage, and Arden and Lyra just providing the utility, providing the protection. Impunity came really close. I mean, they would have won those team fights had Ace Gaming kept going for them. Instead, though, they went for the backdoor.
Yeah, the backdoor was just such a strong call from the side of Ace, with a turret still up. Oftentimes when you see a backdoor call like that, it's when there's no turrets remaining to defend the crystal. But they went for that play, made it pay off. And the other thing we need to touch on is this game was so close and so long. How do you recover from this? Yesterday, we didn't have to see a team recover from a 30-minute loss. This is going to be very difficult for Impunity.
The key is they need to shut down Tasa. Tasa, I felt in both games, has been phenomenal. His Reza and his CP Blackfeather, the plays that he made with the Aftershock, Shatterglass, he knew his opponents did not have any shield, and he capitalized, killing DevQ so quickly. So they need to plan around and get and shut down Tasa. And also QC needs to not stop making mistakes in the early game. He used his double jump in the middle of the lane and didn't have an escaped and got ganked right in lane, and that cost him the turret.
To be fair, though, when that one happened, they had just thrown a flare into the top brush, but it didn't quite catch the very edge of it, which is where Creation was standing. So they thought they had a clear lane to make that play. They just didn't quite account for the fact that he was going to be standing in the very far right tip of the brush. So I'm not going to blame him too heavily for that one.
Honestly, one of the players I really want to highlight coming out of that one was Youngju as well. He played exceptionally on this Captain Glaive, and the key thing was that backdoor right at the very end. That doesn't happen if Youngju doesn't play that fight perfectly. If he doesn't distract the majority of the enemy team.
Yeah, I mean, the way he played it, he backed away just enough to get out of vision, forcing Impunity to recall to try and defend their base, but then he turned around right at the right moment to delay their recall so that Vox and Black would have enough time to finish that Vein Crystal. Beautiful plays and a beautiful itemization as well from Youngju. Picked up the Echo very early on, understanding that the Glaive captain is all about those double afterburns.
Yeah, he certainly is.
And because of how short the cooldown is on the afterburns and the way the Echo interacts with short cooldown abilities, that also made it so that Baron had to focus the Glaive so much in these fights, because if they didn't get Glaive out of a fight, the afterburns were going to come back in once the reflex blocks had already been used. So, again, Youngju just playing that one excellently and forcing their opponents to have to play around him.
All right, now I do want to remind you guys at home that we have the global unveiling of 5v5 happening tomorrow. And to celebrate, we are doing a giveaway. If you sign up for 5v5 at 5v5.vainglorygame.com, you're going to be entered into a giveaway. We're dropping some Razer phones, so make sure to get involved. That is valid until the 17th. That is the last day of the World Championship.
And we got a chance, like Tasty Bacon said yesterday, to play Vainglory on that phone, the Razer phone. It's such a beautiful one to play on. The game runs so smoothly, so getting a chance to win a phone like that is not something that you should pass on.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely get involved at home. Now, I want to talk about this upcoming Game 3 in this series, because we have to address the reality of the situation. It's a 2-0 lead right now for Ace. I know the crowd here is going to be upset to hear that. What is it that Impunity have to do to change things up here? They are looking down the back. If they want to win this series, they have to pull off a reverse sweep in the World's semi-finals. That is not a mean feat. How do they make that happen, Suijay?
I think they need to continue what they're doing in Game 2 and then execute the mid phase of the game, because they were ahead. They took the turret. They had a 1K gold lead, and it made a few mistakes in lane that cost them that lead, and it swung over to the way of Ace. So as long as they don't make mistakes in the mid portion of the game, get to their late game and execute the composition, I think they can take a win.
Yeah, the thing for me is going to be resetting after that loss. This is obviously a very difficult loss to overcome, but you have to recognize you very nearly got yourself this win. This is not a team that is unbeatable you are up against. This is not a team that you cannot beat. You had the opportunities, you can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, they got really close in the second game. The first game, what Sui touched on is the early game. Both in the first game and second game, they fell far behind. Second game, they got close and coming back and almost won it. So third time the charm perhaps for Impunity. They just got to improve their mid-game stage, not fall so far behind so that when they get into the late game, they have a better chance.
All right, well, it's time to jump on into game number 3 and kick off our draft here. It is time to start everything off and see if the comeback can happen for Impunity or if Ace are going to be running away with this series. Gentlemen, as we move into this draft, immediately Baron is banned away by Impunity. They pulled it off, and they don't want Ace to do the same.
Yeah, Impunity has changed their ban every time. Game 1, Vox. Game 2, Rona. Now Baron. They have so many draft picks that they can play around with, and they're going to go ahead and give away the Churnwalker here over to Ace.
That being said, they got themselves the Vox. This is what Pain Gaming was able to do against Ace yesterday to find themselves victories. Will Impunity be able to play it to the same level?
I think Ace Gaming will either pick Arden or Churnwalker right here, then have either Kestrel or Blackfeather to pick on the second rotation. So they're going to leave Impunity guessing which one to ban, which one is better to ban, either the Blackfeather or the Kestrel. Kestrel and perhaps get the other one. Besides that, there's also the Rona.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Ace Gaming don't ban the Rona, the best option is to ban away the Kestrel. But Churnwalker is very likely to be coming out here as one of these two bans, because it's such a strong pick. You don't want to let that influence the game.
Wow.
But they are going to ban the Grace.
They just don't think Impunity plays Churnwalker well enough. They gave it over to them in the first game and managed to beat it, so they're showing lack of respect to Impunity's Churnwalker.
So here Impunity's got to take away Rona. They cannot give Ace Rona Arden, because Ace just excelled with that and was able to beat them with that Rona Arden composition. So I feel like Rona would make the most sense in terms of ban here.
Yeah, it's a really difficult spot for Impunity to be in terms of the ban, because you have the Rona you just talked about. There's the Kestrel that we know Ace Gaming play exceptionally well. Black Feather is still available too, so there's so many things that they have to worry about. I think Black Feather they can kind of skip for now, because if Black Feather were to be picked up by Ace, they could grab themselves the Rona in response. But I think Rona or Kestrel, one of those two, needs to be taken off the board.
I actually kind of disagree there. I feel like Black Feather is a higher priority here, just because if Ace Gaming gets it, they have the opportunity to flex it. So if you get the Rona, then you can play it as CP in the jungle. So, but instead they're going to go with the Lorelei, just because Ace has played Lorelei in the jungle with Arden. We talked about how strong it is as a duo. So Impunity don't want to go up against them.
Honestly, Lorelei Arden late game is such a powerful duo, and it just helps the hyper carry that much harder. So interesting ban. So is Ace going to go with Kestrel or Rona, or maybe even Adagio? As we've seen, Adagio weapon power does do well into a Vox because he's stronger in that early and mid game phases.
Yeah, it's a really difficult spot for Impunity. I would be a little bit surprised if they do go for the Adagio, just because it's something that we haven't seen from them. And then they have numerous picks that we know are comfort picks for them. So you got to just stick to what works here, especially when you're on the verge of getting to the finals.
Yeah, what I was going to say is quite a few options for Ace Gaming right here. They can either go for the Rona or the Baron, not the Baron, the Black Feather that I was talking about. Instead, they're going to go with the Kestrel, the thing that I had predicted originally. And at this point, it's still a flex pick for them. So they can either put it in the lane as a weapon power Kestrel, put it in the jungle as a CP Kestrel. It can definitely work either way. It's just about what Impunity will drive and how to counter it.
I would love Impunity. They have watched NA. They know NA drafts. Koshka Fortress, seal the deal, and counter that Kestrel really hard and win the match here. Let's see if they decide to do that.
I really like the Kestrel pick from Ace as well, because we thought coming into the tournament it would be creation every time in the lane, but we've seen it on Tassa this tournament, and he played exceptionally on it as well.
The other thought for Impunity is if they play Samuel at all, you may want to take that just to deny it from Ace, because Kestrel Samuel, that is the siege composition that Ace Gaming love to run, and they will just run over the lane if they get their hands on it, if that's the direction they want to run.
Yeah, they're really thinking about it. They're down to 9 seconds. There's the Fortress coming out, and if they get Razer or Koshka, they're going to look super good against the CP or weapon Kestrel here. That's a huge counter to Kestrel.
We said that they wanted to be aggressive, and that is a pick that is going to rock on with
Catherine! Is this a carry Fortress? Probably.
They're digging really deep into their arsenal. I mean, same as last game, pulling out the Lorelei jungle. This time around, the Fortress and Catherine, they're putting everything on the line. I mean, they are on the line. One more game, and they're out of the run. So for Ace Gaming, they're either going to go for the Black Feather or the Samuel to try and play aggressive, siege down the turrets, play the Kestrel weapon power in lane, and try to snowball against the Fortress before he gets rolling. Either that, or it's going to be really difficult because of the counter matchup between Fortress and Kestrel.
Churnwalker comes out. Wow, this is a crazy draft. So with Fortress, I'm hoping that they follow in Joseph's footsteps. Aftershock, Metal Jacket, or Catherine can be the tank, but this is going to be crazy how it's going to play out.
All right, before we get into this one, Irakizara, quickly talk to me about the CP Arden that we've seen in EA.
Yeah, the CP Arden we've seen in EA many times in the past. It works really well just because of the aftershock that you're able to pick up on him. You're very durable on the front line, you're very tanky, and you just go for the aftershock as an offensive item. It deals enough damage. You play around your carry at that point as well. In this case, it's the Kestrel, so it's all about protecting creation, and he has one of the best Kestrels in the world.
It's time to get on into the game, guys, so it's time to get your predictions. Once again, Tasty Bacon, we'll start with you. Who's going to take this one?
My biggest concern is just going to be, will there be enough damage coming out from Ace Gaming. I don't think a Crystal Arden with just the Aftershock is going to be enough. I'm still going to stick with Impunity to start making a comeback.
All right, Impunity, Suijay?
I think Ace. I love their draft. I mean, Churnwalker Arden, I wanna say Ace.
All right, one for Ace, one for Impunity. Iraqi Zari, what are your thoughts?
I'll go with Impunity this time around just because the Churnwalker and the Arden, it's iffy for me.
All right, we'll see if the comeback can come on true. We'll see how game number 3 is going to pan out for this one. It's time to pass it up to Humanist and Dowsy to get game number 3 underway.
That's right. Drafts are completed. Game 3 ready to get underway. Very fun picks coming out here and a lot of aggression for Impunity.
Welcome to Asia. This is what they do. They take the meta as you know it and they throw it on its head and then they twist it and turn it into a beautiful, beautiful creation. All over the place, we've got so many crazy picks here coming through. Potentially Impunities is something that looks a little bit more familiar, but let's throw it over to Ace Gaming and see what they've got. Tassa just loves this CPR, and it's something that...
I mean, who doesn't, really? It's a thing of beauty.
It's something that's so strange, and especially in Western meta, we just are not used to it. We'll have to see how Impunity deal with it. So far, it has had no wins, I believe, this tournament, but if someone is going to make it work, it would be the one who has made it work so many times over in his own region.
You hear this crowd back there? Not a biased crowd. Not biased like Tasty Bacon. Underneath this shirt. I don't have anything under there. I'm not going to do that to you guys right now.
Apart from a 6-pack.
You know. Hey, Dowsy, talk to us about the CP Arden, though. I mean, you said this guy can make it work if anybody can.
Right.
What is the power of this pick?
It is a massive brawler in the jungle once you get that Aftershock online. It's a protector for your Kestrel. It is Tassa looking to make sure Creation can make the plays.
All right, here we go. Impunity have to win this game right here, right now, if they want to keep their hopes alive. Ace Gaming, though, they're going to come out here strong. I mean, I can only imagine how this Churnwalker Arden is going to play out. We're going to see early on here, Youngju kind of flexing. Quadrabois, of course, just stays there. He's not really threatened by just the Churnwalker. Quadrabois moves into the Merciless Pursuit, almost actually steals that there. It will go the way of Creation. That means Ace is going to have a nice early rotation.
Now, last time I saw Quadrabois play a bit of Catherine, it was in the, well, last time I casted it was in the Spring Live Championships. It was a little bit crazy. He went very much down the cooldown reduction tree, a bit of an aftershock for himself.
And why not?
Why not? You want to carry your team, put them on your back, then sometimes you just have to build an aftershock on Catherine. Iraqi Zora on the desk said that he was a little bit iffy about the Churnwalker Arden. Well, let me just break it down for you a little bit. It has so much team fight control, so much CC lockdown. Gauntlets just make Youngju's ability to land hook and chain so much easier. And once they get hook and chained, well, they're going to get trespassed. And there can only be one Crucible there for Quadrabois. DefQ, I wouldn't be surprised if he picks one up for himself on this Fortress. It's something that EU's Mouse does so very often when they play the Fortress, is basically put him into a second captain position. It's a very similar composition as well that Impunity have ran. I wouldn't be surprised if Quisi just goes down the very much crit-orientated, hard-hitting, hard ramp-up damage to try and be the single carry threat, with Quadrabois leading the charge and a Merciless Pursuit, the attack of the pack. They're going to have to run straight onto Ace Gaming. That's where a Churnwalker loves to fight, though.
I cannot wait to see someone get pulled through a wall right into the trespass. It's going to be pretty intense now. Youngju almost actually grabbing that Impunity. As 3 will be able to secure the Elder Treant. Once again, Quasi right back up into the lane. They're going to allow DefQ to rotate through the jungle. Now, the Fortress, right now, the way he's going to build this, he doesn't really clear that quickly. Does that put them at a disadvantage?
Well, neither does CP Arden, so no.
Hey.
This is the thing that a lot of teams will look to do when there's a Fortress prioritized in the jungle. Pick something up that can essentially punish the slow scaling, slow clearing Fortress who can't really fend for himself as a solo threat. He needs his team around him. He's a utility jungler. But so is CP Arden. So pretty much we've got an even battle in the jungle, and by battle I mean a farm fest. It's really going to be action up in the lane where we're going to see these teams start to tear away.
And just easy last hitting, just getting this farm up here in the lane. Tossa drops down. He's going to start up because this Elder Trans is just spawned out on the map. Ace should be able to secure this. Pretty easy peasy right here. Looking, oh, actually, where Impunity were going to back. It's very nice, just stay there, to shove the lane forward, and suddenly it's going to be very easy for them to get back out on the map.
Yeah, it's certainly going to just move straight up into the lane, make sure that turret doesn't go down. Poison Ship prioritized by Queasy. Will we see that Poison Ship breaking point double Tyrant Monocle build coming out for that hard-hitting, fast-stacking, fast attack speed Vox carry? He's going to have a lot of damage, and so I would suspect that would be the one. Often you can do this against Kestrel as well, because whilst Kestrel's damage is just outright more than yours when she throws those glimmer shots on your face, if you're able to dodge them with a single Sonic Zoom run at Kestrel, then you can turn the damage onto her, start to really threaten. Quadavois will be a threat with the Merciless Pursuit. DefQ will reveal her with his wolf pack when she goes into her stealth. There's really no hiding for Ace Gaming's creation.
Right.
And so the battlefield has to be dictated by Tassa and Youngju. Their CC, their ultimate control, will win or lose the game for Ace here. It's something that will be very difficult to coordinate because Impunity's ability to dive the Kestrel is so hard.
You see Creation just laying those glimmer shots down in the lane, but that damage being reflected back. This Catherine is actually so incredibly good into this Kestrel pick here. I mean, you talked about all the strengths they have and why this Kestrel will not be as elusive as normal. It's almost like the active camo, just movement speed, will be the greatest utility there. Easy peasy right here.
This crowd, man. They have witnessed their region ramp on up into the World Championship. They're champions Impunity, their backs against the wall. A reverse sweep needed to take down Ace. It's a hard task for them, but a composition that they can really execute well. Game 2 must feel like a heartbreak to them, Humanists, based on the fact that they were so close to executing a win, sniped under their noses. But run small, they have a composition that I feel is stronger than Ace. It all comes down to that execution at that point.
Tossa doing a good job to hold the lane here. Impunity not getting too aggressive just yet. Kind of off cooldown Creation just throws out another one shot. Not a huge deal that he throws that out and misses there. And is your preference, and we see some Kestrels kind of hold that, waiting for kills. Some kind of start fights off, some scout with it. Do you have a preference?
I mean, I've seen Creation just not scale it before.
Really?
And just go straight down, get that overdrive into your A quicker, get the overdrive into your B quicker, because on weapon power Kestrel early game, yeah, it does damage, but it's not really going to be your main source of output. He has scaled it, of course, so, you know, it's whatever, but he's not really looking to do too much with it. It's more just a warning shot. If you snipe someone out, you get vision of them. Do a bit of damage to Queasy, then potentially that opens up the ability for Tassa to come in with the gauntlet, execute onto top of him.
Now Tossa and Youngju just kind of holding down this brush here, making it hard for Impunity to have free rotations through there, and it's exactly what they want to do. Wow, Torment just playing games with Queasy. And the Vox, one of the best at kind of breaking those chains, but Quadavois, he moves in, they got the stun onto Youngju, but they turn around, Blast Trigger won't let Quadavois stays alive through that. Unbelievable, still holding the fountain. They're going to move in. Youngju taking a lot of damage. The wait for it comes over the top, but no follow-up. These teams trading blows. One shot connects onto DefQ. Actually, nothing comes on it.
Yeah, Fountain has not been used by Quadavois. He's held on to it. Impunity in a really good spot to dive once more, and here they go.
They're going to mark the target. They turn around. DefQ pops the healing flask with the fountain. He will stay alive. Gauntlet comes down. Youngju with the stun stays alive for a second. Quadavois traded 1-for-1. Looks like they want Creation, but with the active camo, he moves back. He's so hard to track down if you don't have that vision or the wolf's out. And I mean, it is countered out. This Kestrel is countered out, but if you could bite around that cooldown, well, DefQ jumps back in.
Oh, no.
Oh, I can't believe it. They take toss down. DefQ pays with his life. But Queasy, he's going to get a little gold, a little experience.
Fights are so even in this early game, and you're seeing that damage coming out of Tassa. Immediately looking to go into a clockwork here so that he can have his Gauntlet off cooldown very quickly, his Vanguard off cooldown very quickly. More importantly, that Blood for Blood, it just deals so much damage. He can chuck that onto Queasy. He's going to really pack a punch. Captain Arden, no more. He's a jungler. He's the daddy of the jungle. And he's looking to beat up Queasy, then potentially... That's a bad choice of words. He's looking to take out Vox here.
All right, he's going to do it. All right, so he's going into this Clockwork. Why is this item so good here?
I mean, Clockwork is just the premier cooldown reduction item. When you pair it with an Aftershock, it is just so much cooldown. You get it off, everything comes off cooldown very, very quickly. Clockwork allows you to essentially spam abilities. When you spam them, the cooldown goes down. It's just
a win-win. Win-win. Coming through, Youngju taking a whole bunch of damage, holding the fountain, showing his patience there.
Ace Gaming are very low. Impunity going to make a quick rotation to the gold miner. Very wise of them. Can be stolen away with one shot. You see that Creation is moving into position to snipe that away, and no one's defending against it yet. Blocking it out. Here it comes.
Whoa. That actually hit DefQ there?
The Fortress's hitbox is a little bit wide, and oh dear, is Creation dead?
He should be. Healing Flask, but they've got him marked. They chase him down, and Queasy will find another. Now 3-0. We're 9.5 minutes into this one.
Unity have taken the lead, and we know that the crowd are behind them, but they have to continue on this game. They have to take down Ace, who have looked so formidable. First turret does go to them. A 2,000 gold lead now for them. Queasy's been spotted. He's
stunned up with the Trustman's Gauntlet down. Look at that. This is a double captain comp right here, working pretty well. Queasy doing his best to dance around. Yeah, oh, they actually tormented back. He's taking a lot of damage, but can Queasy stand his ground with Waterball here? Maybe you felt like there's potential that he could actually chase a wild one-shot coming out of Creation there, and nobody able to follow up for the kill.
And Queasy's gone down a Sorrow Blade second item. Attack speed from the Poison Shiv with a bit of sustain. That Mortal Wounds to cancel out the barrier, as well as the healing coming from the fountain. There's the breaking point now for
just
Queasy
one-shotting the breaking point there.
I mean, that's a pretty crazy buy for him. And it's very hard for a team to appreciate the power spike of an item when it is bought outright like that.
Absolutely.
Ace Gaming, this next team fight, they have to be cautious. Creation getting closer and closer to building that second Tyrant's monocle, but it is a while away.
Just a win-win. Coming through Youngju, taking
That's going to be a Bonesaw prioritization as well. Splitting his build just a little bit. There is armor built up on DefQ, a full metal jacket. Queasy very close to completing his. He's got that coat of plates. So just purchasing the piercing spear helps Creation pierce on through a little bit. Of course, Kestrel getting changed quite a bit in 2.10. Reducing the initial damage, but giving it a little bit of armor pierce so it's still effective towards the tankier heroes. Does mean that Kestrel far more of a late game scaling hero that just packs punch with those glimmer shots, but so difficult to stand your ground against Quad of War and DefQ when they charge directly at you. And now that Queasy has this 3 damage item build, it's going to be very threatening towards Creation.
Yeah, he's got those items completed. Also the level 10 infusion as well. So Queasy capable of doing immense damage if he can start to get on target. Now they're going to move in. Youngju's the target. He is most likely going to go down here. Blast Chamber blocked off, but it does not matter. That kill will go to DefQ as Impunity start to turn it up.
Yeah, this is really nice from Impunity. They do not seem bothered by the fact that they are 2-0 down in this series at all. Their World Championship life is on the line, and right now they're looking to bring it to Ace Gaming with a composition that Ace are struggling to deal with. That one shot too late, the immense gold payout, 336 to each member of Impunity, making this gold lead 2,500. And there's that Crucible coming out for DefQ. The Captain Jungle Fortress coming out. We got that in spades here with Tassa in the jungle with his Arden as well. But That double gauntlet means that the trespass as well as the gauntlet can be dealt with. Double crucible, very good for that. Impunity need to make sure that they don't stack it though. That's always the threat when you have a double crucible, is that the communication isn't as crisp as necessary. Def Q, Croix de Bois, hope they are on the same page with this one, because if they use their crucibles at the same time, it's such a wasted purchase.
I mean, it's an absolutely wasted purchase if they stack it like that. Now, Ace, do they want to contest down here? Crystal Sentry being taken. Impunity able to get this Crystal Sentry and get out scot-free. They'll be able to take the mid-camp as well, just taking resources away from Ace across the map here and not getting punished for it.
Quisi is the unknown factor in this tournament. I think that all the teams weren't expecting. Blue City was listed as the main roster for Impunity. Everyone figured it would be him with those glimmer shots, but Quisi has had the tournament of a lifetime here. Is looking to do it again. Ace will need to try and focus him down, but it's Tassa being focused.
Tassa taking a lot of damage, but they block off that blast hammer. The gauntlet's down, but they're already inside of it. Impunity, who's your next target? They want Youngju. Youngju's been eaten alive. They go for creation. A double kill for Quisi. The ace for Impunity. It looks like they're here to win.
They are certainly turning the heat up in this series, Humanist, as they take down one turret looking to break open the choke point as well. They reverse engineered the team fight there. Usually it would be the Kestrel focus, but as we can see in this replay, it was Tassa overextending with a blood for blood and easily dealt with. Great usage coming out to just take him out. Youngju split. He will go down, and when Creation has no protection, Creation is alone. A double kill comes through, and Impunity want to bring home this game.
Impunity definitely playing like it. And this net worth lead just continues to grow for them here in such important match for them. Some teams will crumble under the pressure. Impunity have stepped up to the plate.
And you have to think that boot camp at the youth institution before the World Championship has really brought together this Singaporean team. They're on the same page. Their mentality is strong. Another gold payout comes through as the Kraken. She's awakened. 7-2 with a massive gold lead. Impunity starting up their potential reverse sweep strong, but they have to bring it home here in game 3.
Tassa has that CP infusion out, gauntlet ready to go. I feel like this Arden cannot allow himself to move to the front line and get locked up. They have the turn walker there, hanging out. He's going to blast him.
Oh, silence.
Off the caught Youngju. Now they're going to go ahead and chase down. Will they be able to actually find the target? Youngju using his boots with the gauntlet down. Have they split Impunity apart? Not enough at this point. It looks like they'll be able to take Tassa. They juggle around. They switch to Creation. Creation chopped down. Slice and dice. Taking him down. Go for Tassa. He's to the healing platform. Oh, he's going down. They pull down. Get back. He's down. Ace find one. About the best they could do there. They'll punish Defq for that one.
Fortress only has one mode, it's go forward, and he went forward into the Sanctuary and met his demise. Impunity keeping the pressure up though and showing that they can take out Creation despite the double captain composition here from Ace Gaming. The protection is just not enough. And now they've found Youngju. Is he caught out?
Looks like it. At that point, I mean, I thought Quarterbar might go for that. You saw the breaking point just stacking up there, but Impunity just going to slow roll this one, and hey, why not?
I mean, Quisi's got himself a Crucible as well. It's a triple Crucible composition. Impunity have said, you know what, Tassa, your gauntlets, your CP Arden,
feels bad, man.
It's respectful, but I don't think you're going to hurt me. I don't need no shielding. I just need to make sure that us as a team can continue to charge forward. Double war treads, a third to come, but I'm sure.
I mean, they don't even need the shielding. It's incredibly smart here. And this net worth lead just continues to
I love watching Impunity play when they're ahead.
In such important match for them.
Right now, they are looking to close out this game. War Treads now completed for Youngju, a very impactful purchase for Ace Gaming. Double War Treads is there. Potentially they can outrun, but Quadavar looking for another silence over the wall.
Quadavar trying to out-sneaky Ace. They find the stun. Tassa the one locked up. Block on the blast hammer. Now the chase forward. The gauntlet's down. Quadavar's going to be stunned up, but they're on to Creation. Creation cannot survive through this. He's down. They'll be looking for Tassa. He goes down. Quisi able to find that one. This is going to be the ace, the double kill for Quisi. Impunity It looks like they're going to be able to take this game 3 here as they move into the base of Ace.
Well, they are going to look to push on in. Death timers on creation, 17 seconds. These turrets not going down as quickly as they want, but they're splitting the focus here. The deaths might just be respawned, but they're onto the main crystal.
Looks like they got it. Heroes have respawned, but Impunity have taken down the Vein Crystal. And we'll be going to a game 4.
And how about that for Impunity, coming through with a composition just so perfected into Kestrel. One of the reasons we see Kestrel slipping out of the meta is because of this Fortress pick. Cloud9 prioritizing it all throughout the Vainglory 8 season in North America. Really the early adopters of this pick. Impunity, man, they are a team that learns quickly, and every game they've played, every day of this World Championship, Impunity have learned new tricks. We'll have to see if that one game is enough to give them the momentum they need coming into this series. It's a very difficult position to be in, Humanist, to reverse sweep a team like Ace Gaming. But yesterday we saw when Ace Gaming lost, they became startled. We'll have to see if they can recover as well. Game 4, man. I cannot wait.
You see DeathQ just hanging out there. He's got that cake in front of him. He's like, you know what? I mean, honestly, I want to win, but I got a cake. Like, things are pretty good right now. All right, well, you hear the crowd back there. What a match that was. Munchables, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. What a game. As you can hear, the crowd is riled up. They know that Impunity has just pushed this series to game 4. And they've started on the mountainous climb that is potential reverse sweep if they can keep this momentum rolling. Gentlemen, talk to me here. What actually happened in that game? Because Impunity seemed to have come out swinging once again.
This was just Impunity reading the enemy's composition and itemizing against it perfectly. We talked about Impunity's in-game itemization and the way that they adapt during the course of a game, and that is precisely what they did here, going for the triple Crucible. I mentioned that Arden, the Crystal Arden with just one Aftershock does not have the damage to be a real threat. So they said, we don't need shielding, we just need reflex blocks, and it worked to perfection.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it was a really surprising draft coming out from Ace Gaming to go for the last pick, Arden, relying completely on the Kestrel for the damage output. And Kestrel had already been countered by the Fortress. I mean, once he has
and the Catherine.
Yeah, I mean, and the Catherine, both of them can body block. The Wolves coming out, block her glimmer shots, and at that point, Kestrel damage is nerfed by so much. So the draft was the issue for Ace Gaming, and Impunity executed very well, capitalizing on the great draft.
Absolutely. We could take a look at a replay from the fight. This was the first team fight where Impunity really put their foot down, secured themselves an ace, and started to turn a fairly even game into what looked like a victory.
Yeah, this is exactly what they needed. They just focused the front line. Quarterbar and his Catherine was so amazing. And the Crucibles that came out to counter the Gauntlet was just as amazing as well. I mean, this team, as a unit, did exactly what they needed to do to win. They did not split up like they did in game 2 and this game was their synergy really showing off.
And honestly, it's so difficult to escape a composition like this. You saw Ace running for the hills in that fight, but against a Fortress Fox and a Catherine, they're so quick they can catch up to anyone in that kind of situation.
It's nearly impossible to escape and run away from a composition like that, especially since the Wolves will follow you no matter where you go, no matter whether you're invisible or not. So Kestrel had no option but to keep on running away, dying at the same time.
Absolutely, and when you're getting run down in fights like that, it's very difficult to build the momentum up to kind of pull yourself back into the game once again. So phenomenal stuff coming out from Impunity throughout this game to make those team fights happen the way that they needed to. And now they've managed to get a point on the board. They can hopefully run with that momentum. We could see yet more games. We're going to be jumping into game number 4, though. So what are we expecting to change coming into this one? Because Ace didn't feel like that same strong, stalwart team that we've seen in game 1 and 2 here.
Yeah, you need a bit more damage in your composition. Churnwalker and Arden just really don't synergize that well. when you're going for the Crystal Ardent path, because Turnwalker individually does not have damage. The Crystal Ardent individually doesn't do that much damage. So they were relying purely on the Kestrel and the damage share. So I want to see that change. If they had the Turnwalker with Kestrel and just something else in the jungle that did more damage, this is a very, very different game.
All right, and speaking of damage, we can take a look actually at the numbers of how that played out throughout the course of this game. We can take a look at the damage chart of who was really the ones dishing out. I'm curious where Kestrel lied there.
Wow.
That's kind of the issue right there, is Creation's Kestrel just not even close to the damage that QC was doing.
Yeah, I mean, just constantly body blocked by Fortress, by Cap with her Stormguard shield. And also the amount of the Wolves also soaked up that damage. And Vox just carried with the Mortal Wounds, with the Catherine Sun supporting him. And again, this draft, it was so weird. Like they did Arden, Glaive, Koshka against Pain. I feel like Ace has some questionable drafts at points.
Absolutely. Now it's time to move on into the next draft. It's time to get game number 4 underway. What are we expecting to see towards the start of these drafts? Because the picks and bans have been very different in each and every one of these games in this series so far.
I'm definitely expecting, actually, Ace going for the Lorelei ban, so I'm expecting them to first pick the Vox here instead, because that has been their Achilles heel thus far at Worlds, is going up against a Vox. Obviously, it's not, the Vox isn't necessarily the reason that they've lost games, but it just feels like every game that they have lost has had a Vox on the opposite side.
We'll have to see whether Vox is going to be a priority. It seems very likely, but Impunity taking their time on this pick, making sure to consider all options before locking in their first ban. And honestly, it's a difficult ban to go for here.
What's also great for Impunity right here is that great ban with the Vox there, so that you don't give it over to Ace Gaming. I have Creation play it. They won with it earlier. Creation is an amazing Vox player, but what I wanted to talk about is Impunity is on the B side, and so far, B side in the draft has had the higher win rate throughout the competition, so Impunity do have all they need. They have all the odds in their favor to win this match and go to game 5.
Yeah, and last time on the B side, they got that Baron, Lorelei, Arden comp. So Arden is going to be that first pick. They're following the pattern from last time. And let's see what they're going to decide to ban here. Potentially a Black Feather, because we saw how Tassa was on that Black Feather. And then instead, they're going to go for the Samuel target ban, which they did in game 1, and it didn't work out too well for them.
Yeah, but this time around, again, it's to make sure that they don't get the Lyra-Samuel combo of pairing it, especially with the Kestrel. That's what Ace Gaming does. That's how they beat Team Silva Mid earlier in the tournament, and it was a decisive victory for them when they got that composition. It is the most played and the strongest composition for Ace Gaming, so the ban here on Samuel is entirely justified.
At this point, what's open is the Black Feather and the Rona. Ace Gaming need to be careful about the Rona right here, because combined with the Arden into the Lyra, that is a very strong dive composition that has Mortal Wounds also to reduce the sustain and the healing coming out from the Lyra. They're going to ban the Baptiste just because Immunity can pick that and flex it into the weapon power as well.
Baptiste taken off the table, and now Impunity have to decide what direction they want to go with this composition. Obviously, that Arden already locked in, but it's super versatile. You can play that in just about any composition, especially on 2.10. He has been probably the most picked captain across the course of the tournament.
Yeah, Black Feather is still open. We could see potentially a Black Feather being picked up, because if they don't take it, Ace is definitely going to take it, and we saw how great Tassa was on it. So I wonder if Impunity may potentially pull out their Celeste here, because QC has such a good Celeste, but then that's risky because Black Feather is still up.
Black Feather's still up, but they're going to take a Kroll blind. So many times we see Kroll come out as the final pick of a composition, but they are willing to grab it right here, even with something like Petal still available that can hard counter it.
Yeah, I mean, the Kroll pick right there is so that they can have their last pick available for the carries. Baron is still open, Celeste is still open. Both are extremely strong hyper carries for QC, so they're trying to bait Ace Gaming, or not bait, make them wonder which way they're going to try to go and have the option to flex their draft however they need.
Yeah, if you go for something like the Baron, you can run the Kroll with a Bone Saw. If you go for something like the Celeste, you just get yourself the Shiver Steel and just be a nuisance to your opponents. Ace Gaming definitely have a lot to think about as they round out their composition.
Right, because they pick a Petal to counter the crew, which is good. They don't have a lot of good weapon power here. They can probably go with Sky Petal potentially here, because if they expect a Celeste pick from Impunity, and this is a comp that Impunity plays so well. So Sky's going to come out, potentially a pedal here, which is going to help them win the early.
Sky
And
CP,
Rona, I'd say,
yes.
wow, CP Sky instead.
Yeah, CP Sky is one of the old counter picks into the Cruel because you have a much faster clear speed in the jungle. You're able to hyper level against him, even if you don't play aggressive. Later on in the team fights, you can just kite away. The Celeste throws a curveball at Ace Gaming just because now you have a much longer range advantage that you can play with.
I feel like Ace made a mistake here. I mean, it's obvious that Impunity is going to take the Celeste, and I think a CP Sky is better or worse into a Celeste than a Weapon Sky is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they're going to try to dive into the Celeste later on in the game. They have to. With the Lyra portals, they have the tools to do it, but the Sky CP is pretty difficult at following up her damage on a backline carry.
Yeah, also keep in mind the CP Sky, it's all directional damage. A Kroll and an Arden are both phenomenal at body blocking that directional damage and helping to keep the Celeste safe.
All right, they are gearing up to get into this game. You can see the looks on the faces of the players. A lot of pressure on the shoulders of Impunity right now. They need to take this one if they want to keep their tournament lives alive. It's time to jump into our predictions. Iraqi Zoro, we'll start with you this time. Who's going to take it?
I'm going to go with Impunity. I want this series to go to Game 5 because the crowd is very hyped, and with that Celeste, as long as they protect her very well, she should be able to carry through with the damage.
Tasty Bacon?
I said on Game 1 I was all in on Impunity. We're not turning back now. Game 5, let's do it.
I don't want to do the 3-0 curse, so I'm going to go with Ace.
All right, Sweet J wants the series over. Everyone else wants this to continue. Let's see if it's going to go to Game 5. Let's pass it back up to Humanist and Dowsy.
Thank you very much, Munchables. And I'm loving the discussions on the desk right now. And Tasty Bacon's like, I've gone too far. I can't go back now. I'm all in. It's all Impunity. Dowsy, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking that this is going to be an excellent game to test Impunity out. If they take this game, then they very much may just take the series because the composition drafted by Ace Gaming is very threatening into them. If they're able to take it off, then that is pretty insane. Holy moly, the crowd is behind Impunity.
The crowd is behind us, technically, right now. Let's go! We're into the Halcyon Fold. Impunity's ready to tie this series up. Ace Gaming ready to close it out. Only time will tell.
Ace with their very consistent rotation into the middle of the map. Impunity not going to fall threat to that one just yet. Cruel with a Celeste can clear that jungle pretty speedily, but Ace recognizes they're not even going for that front treant. They just want to secure the Elder for themselves. There is a chance that Impunity just runs it into the jungle now. Doesn't look like they are going to based on Fortifoir's position. And so it's all about the lane. Creation at a position that's very difficult to deal with. Celeste can be a bit of a bully when you're a Rona. You're melee into massive range.
We don't like bullies around here.
Yeah.
Do we, Dowsy?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
it depends on which side you're supporting.
That's true. Obviously, you see the strengths going both ways, but I almost wonder, are we going to see that situation as we get into like the mid game, late game, where we just see portals right on top of Celeste, portal into Bulwark, bring that Rona right in there and just spin to win.
Yeah, this is actually a composition that Impunity will recognize the one that they're playing, and the enemy's composition's almost similar.
Smited. It's a nice steal, Def Q. Look at the Elder Tree, and he's just going to boost himself there. And think about moving in. It's no big deal.
One of the games that Impunity were able to take off of Elite 8, throwing it all the way back to the Spring Championship of this season, way back to the future, was this composition of a Lyra, a melee threat in the lane, and then a jungler that can just kind of have that mobility into a Celeste, into a Cruel, and it was Fortifoir with his mad scientist skills making builds that no one had seen before. And so Impunity they're going to understand the win conditions of Ace all too well.
Oh, that's a nice stun into the combo, into the attack there out of Queasy.
The portal that can come out on towards the Celeste. The sigil that can be laid down underneath the Rona when she starts to be attacked by this Cruel. Makes things very difficult, and with the Sky to contain both Cruel and Celeste.
Ooh, Surrey forward. But Deathq, he's going to grab that again now. Ace, kind of aggressive positioning. Bulwark will be on cooldown used creation. It's a little chunk of damage out of Deathq. Are they going to battle over this mid-camp here? Once again, it goes the way of Impunity.
Oh,
Deathq,
no.
dead man's rush in. Creation has to jump out of that one. Impunity, I'm not sure they want to chase forward. They still have their jungle to clear. So they're not going to take that risk just yet.
What will Tassa prioritize as his first item here against a Cruel? Frostburn can be such a hard thing to deal with when you are that melee threat for Impunity. Often we see it prioritized for Sky on 2.10 for that exact reason, either first or second. The other item, of course, being a Dragon's Eye for that pure power you can stack up over time. Of course, they both build out of the same components here, Humanist. So it's a guessing game. I guess you can, guess it. Go on. Who's it going to be? Frostburn or Dragon's Eye? Flip a coin.
I would prefer to see the Dragon's Eye here myself.
I think I'm with you there. Early power spiking from the Dragon's Eye, then you build a Frostburn to contain. It can give you an early lead. I like it. Tassa, though, where are you at?
Tassa! And maybe regretting that decision to move forward into the brush. You see Impunity very happy to just light this Sky up. And while Sky capable of doing a lot of damage and high mobility is incredibly squishy.
Very squishy, and there's a lot of CC to be chained from Impunity. From Hell's Heart into a core collapse. Oh, wow!
Foe Splitter tearing through Queasy's health bar there. Tassa jumping forward. Looking to get a little forward barrage down. And I guess maybe one of the reasons I'm leaning towards that Dragon's Eye is Quarterball on the front line can really tank up a lot of that damage. Deathq, Deadman's Rush onto Tassa. Does he have the smite? Smites him into the dirt for a first blood.
Unity just so brave, knowing they can play around Deathq's Cruel and Ace Gaming biting off more than they can chew. Minion Candy to secure the lane whilst QC and Deathq rotate out. It will be the healing camp so QC can stick around. Right now, Impunity are playing a game of scale. Let's get this Celeste into the late game. Let's get Deathq into a position where he can withstand the force. He's going towards the Sorrow Blade first. I wonder if he will prioritize a Poison Shiv later on into this game. There's so much healing to be stopped from Youngju and from Creation's Rona as well. You can cut down that fortified health and make it easier for Queasy to tear through the front line.
That makes a lot of sense, but I actually kind of like that he's going for the Sorrow Blade first. I mean, if you're going to go for the Sky, you stick onto the Sky. Well, actually, really curious to see if he does prioritize leveling up his boots as well.
Yep.
I mean, you were talking about it earlier in the championship, I think day 1, day 2, about how good this Cruel is into the CP Sky.
I mean, in the early game it is good. In the late game, that's when Sky takes over. It's a counter CP Sky because of the forward barrage. You can see the Frostburn from Tassa has been completed. He's looking to try and control the battleground first. Damage will come second. Deathq has his From Hell's Heart available, and Tassa's just shown his face.
Yeah, it's going to be, connects a max range into the core collapse. Wombo combo. They take him down. Second kill of the game for Impunity, 6 minutes in. They're knocking on the door of that turret there as well. Deathq will battle Youngju in the jungle for this mid. Youngju's got it.
Okay. Wow, look at that. That's such a strong combination. I talked about it earlier. And you've just seen it come through. Creation, he can't even deal with Queasy because Quadevoir is the captain protecting his Celeste. Impunity want to reverse sweep, and they have the lead in the early game. It's 1,000 gold. And right now, Queasy is just sitting a level away from level 8. That overdrive on your Helo Genesis allows you to have such range advantage, especially against this Rona. Throw those Helo Genesis down from far. Take your time to build a minefield, and then Supernova does so much damage. You see the Eve of Harvest for Queasy. It's an item that SEA loves. Sustain and energy regeneration means they can fight forever, and we know that SEA, they like to brawl.
Definitely. Like to brawl, throwing blows here early in this one. It's working out for them pretty well. Across the board, though, Tasa, will he be going into the Eve himself?
Looks like he's going towards a clockwork, so he has damage, but Defq's not scared of no one. The clockwork is very clearly the flavor item for these CP heroes of this tournament. You have a clockwork, you have a clockwork, everyone has a clockwork. Turret, wow.
Goodbye, Turret. There's a stun on the Youngju. The core collapse as well. They have the combo forcing the fountain now. Now Quisi, though, he's been caught out. Creation trying to trade. The gauntlet's down. They've lost Quisi. Now Quaterbot, he's going to try and get in cahoots here with Defq. Defq down in the jungle, trying to let the shadows empower him. Vanguard is going to keep Quaterbot alive for quite a while. Defq waiting, biding his time. He wants Tasa. He'll use the Dead Man's Rush, the healing flask out of Tasa. He's waiting for the Spectral Smite, but he does not have it ready to go. Tasa, with Creation, able to find that kill. Ace Gaming suddenly up 3-2.
Turret take was good for Impunity, but they did not plan their escape, and they walked straight into Tasa's Sky with that Frostburn early, able to control the battleground so easily. Death from above caught out Quisi, and now Impunity looking to lose their turret as a result. Ace do not leave empty-handed, and that gold lead that Impunity had is now lost.
Impunity works so hard and through the early game.
Wow, okay.
Really curious to see if
that is a crazy purchase coming through. TT. Hello, TT. It's a crit Rona build. That is unseen here in the World Championship so far. Usually you get that Serpent's Mask first, build it into a breaking point, and just sustain throughout the team fights. But Creation says, no, I want to take down Quisi as quickly as possible, and he's just going to be stacking his crit.
It's actually really smart, I think, if we break it down a little bit, because you talked about when you spin through the red mist, suddenly you become a much easier target to land that core collapse on. But if you're dancing around with like Foe Splitter using that movement speed, it's actually incredibly smart. Brilliant, you might say.
We'll have to see if it does work out. It's something a little bit off the cusp. The Creation is known for just dominating in the lane. Impunity trying to start the gold miner, trying to force a fight, trying to force Ace Gaming down to them. But Ace might just look to push the lane. Quantify is taking a lot of damage.
Oh, are they going to steal that gold mine? Oh, they hold it just long enough. Defq able to secure that one up. They find the stun on Youngju. He's not able to block it off. The Solar Storm tears on through. And then it's a nice portal out, but Youngju most likely goes down. I think Defq can chase him down in the second. He's going to wait for the shadows to empower him, but up in the lane, it's Tasa taking a lot of damage. Creation, though, has he gone too far? 703 damage! That Supernova blowing him up! Tasa's going to try and get back with the Heliogenesis, doing good work. I think they're going to have to respect the fact that they cannot chase up to the sky just yet.
Objectives traded back and forth. You could argue that a gold miner at this point in the game is more important than a turret. There's only limited amount of times you can take the gold mine, and the turrets will remain until you take them this entire time. Consider them standing gold because they don't go anywhere. So Impunity are looking to try and take the gold lead, power up this Celeste. 3 damage items now, likely going to go into a clockwork next. So he can spam those Heliogenesis, get the Supernovas out, the core collapse can come up far more often.
Now Impunity, they looked really good in that, through that last engage, right? But Youngju, let's be real, he made a mistake there. He used his block just a little bit too late. He saw that from Hell's Heart coming, he was stunned up, suddenly his team was split apart. It does feel like it's going to be a much different story if Youngju can use these activatables at the right time. And if he blocks off one of these big stuns, suddenly it can get flipped around very quickly.
I mean, Youngju is the key to the lock. Open up the Impunity composition, allow this Rona to just tear through the Celeste, allow Sky to get up close and personal so she can dance around with a Series Strike and the forward barrages. Ace need to make sure their focus is clean and they take out Quisi as quickly as possible. That death from above.
That was a very nice placement there. I actually like that.
Don't go for the execute though. Impunity very much brave, knowing that they can just wait. They have the Gauntlet, they have the Hell's Heart, they have all the CC. But they're trying to find it onto Tasa, the main target. Because of Creation's build, this crit build, he's actually nowhere near as tanky as Arona normally is. I wonder if Impunity will look to punish that. Nowhere near going to be generating any sustained health. The fortified health generations nowhere not going to be as quickly. The ramp up over a team fight just doesn't exist. Maybe they can punish this Rona build from Creation.
They'll find the stun. The block's not there. The gauntlet will come down. Toss of Suris. He's right back in. He wants to go aggressive. Creation has to jump out of this one. Oh, a second gauntlet. Hey, that's pretty good. DefQ, he's on to Tossa. Tossa takes a wild ride through the portal. Look at those double attacks coming out as Queesy's Celeste basic attacks just following through. Can't run away from those. Impunity stand their ground. Very impressive. Yeah, holding their fountain, holding their crucible.
And they're going to push the turret now. Like you mentioned, the crucible and the fountain are up. Ace Gaming can't go for a fight, so it's an objective one. Impunity, a fantastic rotation. Ace Gaming trying to take the gold miner.
It's a slow take as well. The flare's out. They know what's happening here. Oh, almost stolen at Quaterball. Now DefQ, he's going to try and reposition back into the brush. Creation jumps in, gets the foe splitter. Oh, wow. He's on to Queasy, but a nice turnaround here. Look at the Heliogenesis coming through.
3, 2, 1.
DefQ, can he find the stun? Who's the target going to be here? Tossa. Tossa split apart. He's going to Suri strike. Gets stunned up. And now the reflex a little too late. Solar Storm tearing on through another Suri right into the forward cross, but it's not enough. That kill goes over to Queasy. Queasy now 3-1-1 as we approach the 14-minute mark of this game. Impunity up 4-3. A very small net worth advantage, but you feel the momentum going their way.
And it's not often I want to criticize the builds of players because these guys are just so good. But I have to question what's going on with Ace Gaming here. A crit Rona does not sustain against a Cruel. It is not tanky enough to survive against the burst of a Celeste. Tassa does not have a Dragon's Eye. He has no sustained damage. These team fights are lasting far too long for Ace Gaming to be able to burst. And we were in a sustained meta here, Humanus. It is all about survival. That's why Arden and Cruel are so good, because they can stay alive for so long. And they bridge that gap for the Celeste as well. DefQ feeling so confident to charge at this guy because without a Dragon's Eye, he can actually take the damage. Now as Shiver Steel has been purchased by DefQ, he's going to be able to slow down either Creation or Tassa and make sure that Queasy is as safe as possible.
Yeah, this is really, really smart. For the reasons the analysts talked about, obviously, eventually Sky will be good into this Kroll, but no. That's done, and they're late on the block again. They get comboed up, taken down, right as the Kraken spawns.
Oh, hello.
Creation, he's going deep, pulling the Dienzio here. Solar Storm dodged out. Very nice job, actually, by Creation to get something done across the map.
We take another. Channels the backport, minions stop him. Ace need to make sure that Kraken going to be taken out. Creation just going to hold his ground and backport home.
Youngju.
No, he's sticking.
Can Youngju steal this potentially? He throws out the sigil just a little too early. He's going to move and try to go with the bulwark. Oh, not able to get it. Arcane Passage forced out. He will get back, but that is a Kraken take for Impunity.
Wow. Ace Gaming seeming to crumble right now under the immense pressure of closing out a game. They struggled against Pain yesterday to close out their series, and they took it to 5. The Brazilians everywhere cheering their team on. Ace were finally able to find their feet, but against Impunity right now with a home crowd advantage as well. What a tough task for Ace to come back. Impunity looking strong. This Celeste dangerous in choke points.
All right, we'll find a stun onto Creation. That won't be available, but will it even matter? Look at that Supernova just ripping on through here. And it's a whole different story with what we're seeing out of this Rona. I mean, normally you see the red mist start spinning, you got some lifesteal, you say, oh, this is a very durable hero, but it just doesn't feel like it here.
Well, there is just no sustain. It's all about very quick damage, and you notice that whilst that Kraken was being danced around by Impunity, Creation showed off the very quick turret taking control that a full crit melee build provides. It's something that Impunity will have to be very wary of. They've already been backdoored once in this series. To be backdoored twice would be such a shame. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Other way around.
Who's the target going to be here? We're playing games out here. What are we going to do, right? Impunity are in a great place. They have the superior positioning. They have the advantage. And barring some really sneaky plays out of Ace, which we know they're known for, it looks like Impunity are going to be tying this one up. DefQ, he moves in. Creation turns around, pops him there with that bow splitter. Now, all of a sudden, Taza. Whoa, they got right on top of him. The boomerang not going to connect. The gauntlet is down. DefQ falls. The second kill. Quaterval, he will fall as well. Dowsey.
This is so hard now. Quaterval has to survive, but he will not be able to. The Ace will come through from Ace, and these turrets will not last a second against the full crit Rona. How quick can Creation get
He grabs
to
the journey boots. He's got the journey boots. He will be moving forward. He's activated them. Tossa clearing out the lane minions. Queasy will be spawning. He's over the wall. He's over the wall. He's onto the first main crystal turret. They're onto the second. Impunity are respawning. It looks like Ace, if they can clear this out and survive, Creation can't get out. He goes down. And Penny with Queasy. He's onto him. DefQ from outside. Onto Tossa. Tossa put it into the dirt. Rip him up. Tear him down. The gauntlet, it will miss, but it looks like Impunity has taken what they needed. Oh! Ace almost closed this game out.
Queasy with a monster play. That is a world championship play. Impunity are here to play. And right now the Kraken will be their reward, Humanist. Ace so close to taking a series through an excellent execution. On to Queasy.
Man.
So close yet so far, no cigar. Oh, Impunity.
Okay, look at interesting pathing through the jungle area. It felt like Creation maybe was getting some sneaky right off the bat, but DefQ was already there. They sniffed it out. Impunity begin to bear down upon Ace Gaming. You know he wants the backdoor. The question is, can his team get in position? What you know what, the Sky is actually really good at stopping backports. She's so incredibly mobile. Like, you don't even have to do the damage. Queasy, though, sniffs it out. If Queasy's not there, though, he can get back and take through this Kraken incredibly quickly.
The one thing is, Sky is really bad at taking down Krakens, and so a decision has to be made on whether they execute. Quaterval's going to try and chase him, but they need a backdoor. You can't race him.
You can't get that. He's going to boot. He's going over the wall. He's going to go over the wall here. The portal forward. Is he going to be the foe splitter? He's onto the main crystal. Quaterval's there. What's going to happen? Creation, he's there. The basic attack. Oh, he's gaming.
Impunity looking strong. Creation just won that game single-handedly with his full
Are you kidding me?
Rona. Youngju able to stop the backports onto the Celeste, and Ace Gaming with 2 backdoors will take down Impunity. They are your second World Championship finalists.
That's an all-red finals right there.
It just doesn't feel like it.
Wow! I haven't seen that build come out in competitive play a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, even then it was questionable. This team, there was no hesitation when he started on this build. We had questions about it, but wow, the damage potential, the calls, such bold shot calling here. That is a championship level team right there.
You have to be sure in yourself, Humanist. You have to be sure you are the best of the best when you come to this world stage. If you want to take home that trophy at the end of tomorrow, North America will face up against East Asia once more. But there are new challengers knocking on the door. A super team in each region to dethrone both Rox and TSM. But only one can be the winner. Oh my goodness, tomorrow is going to be an incredible battle of wits.
A battle of talent, a battle of basically the best we have seen in Vainglory thus far. We need a break. That was hype. But to break this one down, Munchables and our analysts.
Thank you very much, Humanist and Dowsey. Expertly cast as always. What a way to end a series. People are going mental in the arena right now. Back-to-back backdoors coming out from Creation. 2 games he backdoored to finish them in this series. That is unbelievable. I don't even know what to say.
2 out of the 3 games they won, Creation just put his entire team on his back and went straight to the Vain Crystal to end the series and go on to the grand finals. What a finish by Ace Gaming, but at the same time, what a fight back by Impunity, and that's why the crowd was cheering. Impunity, yes, they did lose, but they fought, or they lost with pride for sure.
Absolutely, and let's bear in mind, Impunity here in Singapore far outdid expectations, making it to the semi-finals, taking a game off Ace here as well. They can absolutely go home with their heads held high off of this tremendous performance.
Yeah, this was unbelievable. This game was so back and forth. It looked like Impunity finally got themselves control, but then the full crit Rona being able to go in and take that tier 3 turret was so crucial, and then allowed the team to be able to finish it off in the end with that final backdoor push.
Yeah, it was so crazy. The first 13 minutes, they were dead even in gold, everything. And then Impunity wins a key fight at the 1440 mark, get the Kraken, and all of a sudden they're ahead of this game. This is their game to win. But Creation, that Rona build, I was like 16 minutes in, no Aegis, 4 damage out. I was like, that's so risky, but it ultimately paid off. Wow, no fear, just fight is the mentality.
I have to say, coming into the whole tournament, I was saying that Creation was a machine. He's absolutely proven it in this series. It's about time that we pass it over to the stage. I want to hear from our second grand finalist, Ace Gaming.
Thank you very much, Munchballs. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for both Impunity and Ace Gaming. Wow! What an ending to that first game. But before we get into the nitty-gritty little bits, first things first, what does it mean to you guys to make it to the grand finals of the Vainglory World Championships?
네, 이번 게임에서 3대1로 아주 승리를 하셨는데 그 그랜드 파이널에 가는 그런 의미가 우리 에이스 게이밍에는 어떤 것이 있겠습니까?
일단 저희가 진짜 이번 월드 챔피언십을 준비하는 데 있어서 많은 힘든 일이 있었는데 진짜 그걸 다 극복하고 아직 우승은 하지 못했지만 결승전까지 가게 되어서 정말 기쁘고 영광으로 생각하고 있습니다.
We are very happy and it's a very honor to overcome all difficulty when we drew out our experience in preparing this game. So we haven't get any championship yet, but we hope we can get it.
You're certainly a little bit closer to getting to those finals, to getting to the trophy, should I say. Now, you did face a lot of difficulties. Tomorrow potentially will be your hardest game of the tournament so far, going up against Tribe. How are you going to prepare for Tribe, and what are your thoughts on that team?
이번 인피니티 경기와도 참 거친 경기고 힘들었던 경기로 보이는데요. 내일 경기에서는 어떤 전략으로 어떻게 준비를 해서 임하시겠습니까?
우선 트라이브랑은 북미 팀들 중에서도 저희랑 가장 친하고 스크림도 많이 하고 했었던 팀이기 때문에 서로가 서로에 대해서 잘 알고 있다고 생각합니다. 그렇기 때문에 서로 이제 아마 전략을 다해서 진짜 저희가 연습하는 픽 그대로 모든 것을 쏟아부어서 트라이브를 꼭 이기고 이번 월드 챔피언십 우승하도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah, Tribe is one of the toughest game player in North America, not only in the world. And we know very well about this player, and the game player style is very similar. So we must do very best next game, and we win this championship.
I'm sure everyone is really excited to see the grand finals tomorrow. Just finally, please talk me through the last moments of that game, because it was absolutely mind-blowing for us all.
마지막으로요. 그 게임의 마지막 순간에 그 연출되던 장면에 대해서 어떤 전략으로 임하셨는지 설명해 주시겠어요?
우선 저희가 이제 서로 한타 한 번이 끝나면은 게임이 끝나는 상황이었고 저희가 아직 제가 템이 아직 많이 안 나왔기 때문에 제가 이번 한타에서 싸워서 이길 자신이 무조건이 없었어요. 그렇기 때문에 백도어를 통해서 한 백도어를 한다면은 저희가 더 이길 확률이 높다고 생각을 했기 때문에 그래서 백도어를 하게 됐습니다.
We are losing our momentum this match, and we are not sure about this winning. So we want to do backdoor so we can get it.
It was an incredible backdoor situation. You guys performed fantastically. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Hazza and Ace Gaming. Incredible stuff. Munchables, back over to you on the desk, my friend.
All right, we are back. Let's have a round of applause, everybody, for Ace Gaming, our second finalist, going on tomorrow against Tribe. An absolute phenomenal performance coming on through from them at the end of the day. Impunity as well, an incredible performance coming out from them. Going to 4 games in this series, but in the end, it was Ace managing to take this one home. Let's take a look at one of the highlight moments. In fact, the Razer highlight of the series coming out from this one. And I can bet you that it is Ace Gaming taking control of the game at this point.
Yeah, this is such a critical fight here. Cruel on the, and look at the Lara Bulwark here. The Lara Bulwark, look at the Rona. 2 shots to Celeste. She disappears, and then they win this fight. In a quarterfinal, instead of coming back into the fight, he should have just got out of there. But this was a key turnaround point for Ace Gaming because they were behind most of the game. They win this fight, and it was able to put back map control and pressure against Impunity.
Yeah, I mean, the Rona build was just so crazy. No one has seen it before for such a long time in competitive play. Going into the TT at the end there on top of the Tyrant's monocles. The idea or the reason why he went for it is so that he can burst down that Celeste. He knew he's the only carry that he was going to be able, or that was going to be able to get on the Celeste. Since Kaya's damage would get body blocked, so Creation understanding the win condition of his team and his composition, building things that you don't see any time, and just played phenomenally.
Building like that against the mad scientist himself as well. That is a bold thing to do. And you know what? Creation playing out of his mind. 2 backdoors. He is going to be our Razer MVP for the series, and I think deservedly so. Twice in that series being the deciding factor. His Rona is something to be revered around the globe.
Yeah, we talked about Kestrel being a massive impact for the side of Ace, but Rona is going to be the pick that Tribe will have to be wary of tomorrow as well. You can see there on the screen his top win rate here at Worlds has been on this Rona, as well as his most played. So it is something that you have to be thinking about when you draft against Ace.
And honestly, I'm almost sad that this series has come to an end. I'm more than happy that Ace have managed to make it to the final. They proved to be the better team here on the day. I would have loved for this to go to 5 games though, because what a series we have just witnessed. And honestly, all 6 players, all 12 players that have been on stage today played their absolute hearts out. But there can be only 2 finalists, and there can be only 1 world champion. We'll discover who that is going to be tomorrow. Gentlemen, final thoughts on this series, and what a series it absolutely was.
It was insane. All these crazy drafts, and the team playing so well. Backdoors, the cleverness, hiding in the bushes. They really gave all of us a show today, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow and how that's going to play out.
Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal finals. And keep in mind, this is not the last we're going to see of Impunity. They will be playing tomorrow in the 3rd place game as well. So they still have a chance to put on a show for this hometown crowd that has been giving them so much love all the way throughout.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be playing against Cloud9. That's going to be a tough one, but I'm sure it's going to be an enjoyable one to watch. I want to touch on the fact that Ace Gaming has been an organization in Vainglory for a very long time. In East Asia, every single time they would play in the VIPLs and they would get so close to winning and being the champion, but they would fall just barely too short. So this time around, they have their opportunity to win a title, and going up against Tribe is going to be an incredible grand finals tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's the redemption story against the story of a super team. I cannot wait to get into our grand finals. Before we end the show today, we want just one last opportunity to make some noise for our home crowd favorites. I'm going to welcome back to the stage for one final curtain call, Team Impunity. The Singapore home crowd favorites. They made it to the top 4 of the World Championship. They obliterated all expectations coming into this tournament, and they have raised their region's reputation coming on it.
Finishing top 4 at World Championship, coming as one of the best top 4 teams in all of Vainglory is nothing to be disappointed about. It's something to be incredibly proud of, and this team played their hearts out to get to this point.
Their team synergy in-game, a little bit better than their team synergy on the stage, but you can tell they just absolutely breathed life into this arena every single time that they were on the fold. Anytime a fight broke out, whether they were getting kills or getting near kills, it didn't matter. This place erupted. There were chants constantly throughout this game. It was absolutely a wonderful experience.
It certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, before Worlds, I look at their VODs, and I did not have high expectations for SEA. And Impunity with their boot camp, they really showed up. They really played their hearts out. This is a team that's going to continue to do so well, not only at Worlds, but beyond. So really looking forward for the future of Southeast Asia.
Absolutely. And speaking of Southeast Asia, we are going to have one of the greatest Southeast Asian teams stepping onto the stage tomorrow as well. I want to remind you guys that tomorrow we are going to be unveiling Vainglory 5v5. That's going to be happening later on in the day tomorrow after our third place match. Not only are we unveiling 5v5, but Renegades are going to be stepping onto the stage. The Southeast Asian powerhouse. They're first of all going to be taking on Rox Armada from Korea, the previous world champions. And then, if that wasn't enough, this is going to be a King of the Hill. The winner of that series will be moving on to take on the North American powerhouse Team Solo Mid. And they're also going to be rejoined by Shin Kaigen, FlashX's old teammate from Team Ardent that managed to win the VIPL all so long ago. Arakizaru, you know all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it earlier. These two teammates have been playing together for a very long time. Not competitively, they played a little bit competitively, but casually, always together. They're incredible friends, have a great mind for the game. I'm excited to see what sort of strategies they can bring out in 5v5.
And for a lot of the newer viewers who may not recognize the name Shin Kaigen, if you ask any of the current pros, you go all the way back to Vainglory history, Shin Kaigen is the one that taught so much about Vainglory to so many of the current professional players, is a revered name in this community.
Yeah, he was the first stream that I watched, and because of how much I learned from him, I became a much better player, became a pro player. And Shin Kaigen, I have to give him, he's been a huge part of the community. And he won VIPL with that Kestrel. So are we going to see some Kestrel action in that 5v5?
His Kestrel was absolutely dominating in that VIPL. I mean, they beat us. We went up against them as Gangstars back then, and we lost to his Kestrel. So definitely a player to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see how that's going to pan out tomorrow. Let's take one last look at our bracket before we end the show here today. Let's have one last little recap of what has happened today. We started off the day with Cloud9 going up against Tribe, the North American barn burner, and it was an absolutely incredible series. Tribe managed to move on to the finals, and then we had Ace Gaming against Impunity, and it was so close to 5 games. It was so close to so many things, but Ace, the Korean squad, coming on through in the end, moving on to the grand finals, which means our series for tomorrow are now decided. That is going to be the end of the show from us. Thank you so much for joining us here for day number 3. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to have the unveiling of 5v5, and we're going to crown our world champions. We will see you then. Before we end the show today, we want just one last opportunity to make some noise for our home crowd favorites. I'm going to welcome back to the stage for one final curtain call, Team Impunity. The Singapore home crowd favorites, they made it to the top 4 of the World Championship. They obliterated all expectations coming into this tournament, and they have raised their region's reputation coming on it.
Finishing top 4 at World Championship, coming as one of the best top 4 teams in all of Vainglory is nothing to be disappointed about. It's something to be incredibly proud of, and this team played their hearts out to get to this point.
Their team synergy in game, a little bit better than their team synergy on the stage, but you can tell they just absolutely breathed life into this arena every single time that they were on the floor. Anytime a fight broke out, either they were getting killed or getting near killed, it didn't matter. This place erupted. There were chants constantly throughout this game. It was absolutely a wonderful experience.
It certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, before Worlds, I look at their VODs, and I did not have high expectations for SA. And Impunity with their boot camp, they really showed up. They really played their hearts out. This is a team that's going to continue to do so well, not only at Worlds, but beyond. So really looking forward for the future of Southeast Asia.
Absolutely. And speaking of Southeast Asia, we are going to have one of the greatest Southeast Asian teams stepping onto the stage tomorrow as well. I want to remind you guys that tomorrow we are going to be unveiling Vainglory 5v5. That's going to be happening later on in the day tomorrow after our third place match. Not only are we unveiling 5v5, but Renegades